Shin Ryue and her husband's cherished one were both abducted into the mountains. On the night they were forced into consummation, her husband only saved his beloved, pinned beneath the foul-smelling old man. She heard her husband shielding his true love's eyes, murmuring gently, "Don't look, darling." Unable to bear the humiliation, she bit off her tongue and ended her life. When she opened her eyes again, she had traveled back 10 years to the day when the dean had asked if she wanted to participate in the early admission program. "Professor Lin, I'm willing to join the confidential program for guaranteed admission to the National Defense University." Professor Lin was overjoyed. "After all my persuading, you've finally agreed. I thought when your childhood friend Lu Qingjun switched to applying for Logistics University, you'd follow him to that third-rate institution too." Shin Ryue clenched her fists tightly. In their past life, Qin Ziyi, Lu Qingjuan's cherished muse, had applied to this very university. No wonder Lu Qingjun had been so persistent in persuading her, the top student in their grade, to change her application to match his. It turned out it was all just to accommodate Qin Ziyi. Shin Ryue shook her head and signed the application form without another word. "But please keep this matter confidential." After getting Teacher Lin's assurance, Shin Ryue stepped out of the office and immediately bumped into Lu Qingjun. Lu Qingjuan's face lit up with delight. "Ryue, you've finally decided to change your application. That means we can be together all 4 years of college." Shin Ryue simply smiled and said, "Yeah, of course not." Given a second chance at life, she was determined to seize the brilliant future that was rightfully hers, instead of remaining stuck in the mud. "Perfect. Come on, I'll walk you home." As she reached the car, Shin Ryue opened the passenger door only to find Qin Ziyi already sitting inside. Qin Ryue is the legitimate daughter of the Qin family, while Qin Ziyi is the illegitimate child, yet both reside in the ancestral Qin residence. "I'm so sorry, sister, I didn't realize this was your usual seat. I've sprained my ankle and can't move easily. Would you mind taking the back seat instead?" Qin Ziyi bit her lip, wearing a timid expression as if she might burst into tears if Qin Ryue refused her. Before Qin Ryue could respond, Lu Qingjun spoke up. "Ryue, why don't you take the back seat? Gigi twisted her ankle during PE class today. Please look after her when we get home." Qin Ryue's face stiffened, a sarcastic smile flickering across her lips as she silently climbed into the back seat. On the way home, Qin Ziyi glanced around coquettishly, maintaining a delicate smile while chattering incessantly to Lu Qingjun. "Qingjun, this car pendant looks so familiar. Is it the protection charm we got together at Wutai Temple? You actually hung it in your car, that way you can see it every day." "Oh, Qingjun, is that the matching couple's watch on your wrist? The one I said I really liked before. No wonder you gave me the women's version recently." You went ahead and bought the set. The entire car ride was filled with the sound of Qin Ziyi's sweet, coquettish chatter with Lu Qingjun, while Qin Ryue stared silently out the window at the scenery rushing by. She used to think she knew Lu Qingjun inside and out. The cologne he wore was her favorite scent, and every single one of his ties had been carefully chosen by her. Qin Ryue's nails dug deep into her palms, her chest flooded with a surge of bitter sorrow. Unbeknownst to her, Qin Ziyi had quietly woven herself so deeply into Lu Qingjuan's life. How laughable that in her past life she had been kept in the dark like a blind fool, with Lu Qingjun occupying her every thought and sight. Upon arriving at the Qin residence, Qin Ryue stepped out of the car first, only to spot Qin Ziyi through the second-floor window, still seated in the passenger seat, deep in conversation with Lu Qingjun. The wind carried their voices up to us, faint and slow. "Why didn't you go up with Ryue?" Lu Qingjun asked. "I'm scared. Qingjun, you know how it is. I'm just the illegitimate daughter. I'll never be more than an outsider in the Qin family. I only feel safe when I'm with brother Qingjun. Please don't make me get out of the car." "Okay." Qin Ziyi's eyes welled up with tears as she spoke, inching closer to him, until her crimson lips met the corner of the boy's mouth, and they shared a lingering kiss. Lu Qingjun didn't refuse. Qin Ryue squeezed her eyes shut in embarrassment and yanked the curtains closed. So the signs were there from the very beginning. The next day, Qin Ryue was summoned to the teacher's office as soon as she arrived at school. "A classmate reported seeing you bully Qin Ziyi on campus. Is this true?" Qin Ziyi stood drenched, her uniform skirt dripping with muddy water. Trembling as if fighting back tears, she clutched her sleeve, subtly revealing purplish bruises on her arm while avoiding eye contact, her voice trembling with unshed tears. "Teacher, it wasn't my sister. I just fell by accident. It's not like my sister had someone drag me into the bathroom and beat me up. I'm just an illegitimate daughter of the Qin family. A proper young lady like my sister has no reason to bother with someone like me, the teacher said with clear displeasure. This is a school. No one cares about your family status here. Qin Ryue, you've always been a model student in the teacher's eyes. Why would you do something like this to your own sister? The college entrance exam is just around the corner. You should focus on your studies instead of wasting time on these shortcuts. Lu Qingjun, you're close with both sisters. Do you have any idea what's really going on here? In an instant, all eyes turned to the silent Lu Qingjun. Qin Ziyi's eyes were filled with boundless pleading and pitiful desperation. Brother Qingjun, please don't be angry with sister, it's all my fault. I was too ungrateful. How could I possibly deserve to ride in sister's car, let alone take the seat that rightfully belongs to her? She could no longer hold back, choking back sobs as tears streamed down her face. I should never have been born into this world. My very existence is a mistake. Qin Ryue's nails dug into her palms as memories came flooding back in an instant. The same thing had happened in her previous life. And from then on, school bullying became a lifelong stain on her reputation. Shortly after joining the Qin group, someone dug up this dark chapter of her past. She was cyberbullied into depression and ultimately gave up her inheritance rights to the Qin group. In the end, it was Qin Ziyi who rose to the top, gaining both fame and fortune. Qin Ryue's body trembled slightly as she rushed to defend herself. Teacher, it wasn't me. But Lu Qingjun spoke at the same time, giving an equally vague response. Teacher, I'll handle this matter. Qin Ryue shot Lu Qingjun a cold glare, shook off his attempt to grab her hand, and turned to leave. Standing in the shadowy corner of the corridor, she tried to calm the overwhelming grievance swelling in her chest when she overheard hushed arguing. Gigi, how could you wrong Ryue like this? She clearly never did any of those things. Qin Ziyi's sobs grew even more heart-wrenching. Brother Qingjun, I really have no other choice. My sister is the legitimate eldest daughter of the Qin family, while I'm just an illegitimate child. All these years I've lived in her shadow. You have no idea what my life has been like in the Qin household. My father doesn't value me, my mother despises me. I'm just a doormat for everyone to walk all over, unlike my sister who has everything handed to her. I have to resort to these pathetic tactics just to scrape by on people's pity. Qin Ryue bit her lip and let out a scornful laugh. That's not true. Qin Ziyi has been playing the victim since childhood. Her mother was old Mr. Qin's cherished first love. He defied pressure from his wife's family just to bring Qin Ziyi back and legitimize her. Qin Ziyi always got everything Qin Ryue had. If there was only one of something, old Mr. Qin would simply say, the older sister should give way to the younger. A rustling sound followed as Qin Ziyi took off her coat to show Lu Qingjun the wounds on her wrist. I'm so miserable. In the Qin household, I don't even dare cry out loud. When I'm hurting, the only thing I can do is cut my own wrists with a blade. These bruises are all self-inflicted too. It hurts so much, but I truly have no other way to cope. Qin Ziyi's voice was filled with despair and anguish. After a long pause, Lu Qingjun's voice also seemed to grow strained and halting. But you can't resort to such self-destructive methods. In the end, Lu Qingjun merely uttered dismissively, forget it. Just don't let it happen again. Having overheard every word of their conversation, Qin Ryue felt as if she'd been plunged into an icy abyss. All along, Lu Qingjun had known that Qin Ziyi framed her for the school bullying, yet in her past life, when she was plagued by rumors, he never spoke up. He remained silent even when she was forced to leave the Qin corporation. He only said, Ryue, I know you're not that kind of person. From now on, I'll protect you. How laughable that Qin Ryue once believed Lu Qingjun truly loved her, thinking he stood by her even when everyone turned against her. From start to finish, he was the silent accomplice behind the mastermind of it all. Qin Ryue could no longer hold back, covering her mouth as tears began to fall. Chapter 2. In this lifetime, she never wanted to have anything to do with Lu Qingjun ever again. In just half a month, they would cut all ties for good. The second thing Qin Ryue did after returning was to relocate her mother's grave. Mrs. Qin passed away the same year Qin Ziyi came back. It took Qin Ryue years to realize that old Mr. Qin only cared about Qin Ziyi and her mother. She and her own mother were merely products of a business alliance. It was all about interests, with no love involved. Given a second chance at life, she was determined to secure freedom for both herself and her mother. Qin Ryue silently cradled the urn containing Mrs. Qin's ashes, her tears streaming down and splattering against the white porcelain vessel. Mom, I miss you so much. Wiping away her tears, Qin Ryue resolutely left the original burial site, clutching the ashes urn as she headed toward the new auspicious location she had carefully chosen. But she had only taken 2 steps when a familiar figure blocked her path. Qin Zi still wore that pitiful, delicate expression. She grabbed Qin Ryue's arm. But her eyes held a stark malice that clashed with her gentle beauty. Your mother is long dead, but mine is still alive. I suggest you know your place. Get out of the Qin family and stay away from brother Qingjun. Qin Ryue glared coldly at Qin Zi, her eyes bloodshot with rage. Qin Zi sneered, you have no idea how your poor excuse of a mother died, do you? My mother dragged me to her doorstep to force her hand. We knelt in front of the Qin Corporation building, begging her to spare our lives. That useless woman was driven to her death by us. In an instant, the world seemed to turn upside down. Qin Ryue felt Qin Zi's voice echo like a demonic whisper from the depths of hell. A surge of hatred welled up from the depths of her heart, nearly overwhelming and suffocating her in an instant. Qin Ryue raised her arm high, intending to slap the shameless woman before her, but was caught off guard when Qin Zi shoved her, staggering. The urn in her hands flew out and smashed heavily onto the ground. With a sharp crack, the small porcelain urn shattered into pieces, scattering pristine ashes that vanished into the soil. Qin Ryue stood as if her soul had been drained, staring blankly at the chaotic scene before her. She turned and without hesitation delivered a stinging slap across Qin Zi's face. Qin Zi cried out in pain, and from the corner of her eye, she spotted the person she'd been waiting for, her sobs instantly filling the cemetery air. Sis, I genuinely came to apologize. I never meant to wreck your family, and I had no say in how I came into this world. Qin Zi wept bitterly, covering her face as she started to kneel before Qin Ryue. Just then, a pair of slender, well-defined hands reached from behind and firmly pulled her upright. Ryue, you've gone too far. Rushing to the scene, Lu Qingjun stared at the dazed Qin Ryue and snapped, how could you hit Gigi so hard? You're sisters. We are not sisters. Qin Ryue jolted back to reality, screaming hoarsely, she smashed my mother's ashes. I don't have a sister like her. It's just ashes, Lu Qingjun said, suppressing his anger. Look what you've done to Gigi. Qin Ryue stared at Lu Qingjun in disbelief, waves of anguish surging within her until she could barely endure the pain. How could he say such things? Those were her mother's ashes. The very mother who had watched Lu Qingjun grow up and treated him as her own son. When her mother was critically ill, a young Lu Qingjun had knelt by her sickbed and sworn to the heavens that he would protect Qin Ryue for life, ensuring she never suffered any harm, and now Lu Qingjun actually dares to say it's just ashes. Lu Qingjun seemed stung by Qin Ryue's gaze, instinctively avoiding her bloodshot, piercing eyes. The deceased is gone. If your mother could see how willful and unreasonable you've become, she wouldn't rest in peace. He blocked Qin Ryue's path to the ashes, pointing at Mrs. Qin's tombstone. Apologize to Gigi right at your mother's graveside and beg for her forgiveness, otherwise, you won't be taking that ashes with you today. Qin Ryue trembled from head to toe, her face completely numb, her eyes fixed unwaveringly on the scattered ashes on the ground. I'm sorry, she trembled, tears streaming down her face without her even realizing it, her complexion deathly pale like a ghost risen from the grave. Please, let me take my mother's ashes with me. Qin Zi tugged at Lu Qingjun's sleeve. Let it go, Qingjun. I forgive my sister. She was just too anxious. She didn't mean to treat me like that. Lu Qingjun sighed. You're so generous. But this is a cemetery after all. It's gloomy. You shouldn't stay here too long. Let's go. With that, he took Qin Zi's hand and walked away without a backward glance. As they departed together, Qin Ryue threw herself forward, frantically gathering the scattered ashes from the ground, weeping uncontrollably. The ashes, now mixed with dirt and tears, were carefully collected back into the urn. Overwhelmed with grief, Qin Ryue could no longer hold back her sorrow. She fell to her knees and broke into heart-wrenching sobs. Qin Ryue counted the days one by one. There was only 1 week left before departure. This weekend was Qin Ryue's birthday party, and everyone had already agreed to attend, not only to celebrate her birthday but also as one last hurrah before the college entrance exams. The group started playing tabletop card games, and someone suggested that since it was a celebration, they should spice things up by playing King's Game, where players command others to perform dares. Queen of Hearts and King of Spades, give each other a hug. Lu Qingjun and Qin Ryue both revealed their cards at the same time. they were the ones designated for the embrace. Lu Qingjun stood up with a cheerful smile, opening his arms toward Qin Ruyue, who also rose and walked straight toward him, but Lu Qingjun never got that hug. Qin Ruyue walked right past him without even a glance, coolly tossing out, "I'm going to the restroom." Lu Qingjun's handsome smile froze on his face, a flicker of displeasure stirring within him. "I was just playing along. Why are you taking it so seriously? Are you still upset about what happened at the cemetery that day?" How dare he bring up what happened at the cemetery? Qin Ruyue's palms were bleeding where her nails had dug into them, suppressing the nausea churning in her stomach. She walked out without a word. Lu Qingjun's face darkened. In front of everyone, he said coldly, "Ruyue, you're becoming more and more unreasonable." Reasonable. Once, she had been reasonable enough to take the blame for school bullying, reasonable enough to let Lu Qingjun always care for Qin Ziyi, reasonable enough to step down from the Qin Corporation to make room for Qin Ziyi, yet all her concessions and compromises only led to her tragic death in her previous life. Qin Ruyue stood in the bathroom, fighting back nausea for a long time before finally throwing up. When she returned to the private room, she happened to see someone demanding that Lu Qingjun do push-ups over Qin Ziyi. Everyone started egging him on. "Qingjun, we all know Ruyue is the most easygoing and tolerant, she wouldn't mind this at all. It's just a game, are you really going to be a sore loser?" Qin Ziyi also looked at Lu Qingjun helplessly, her eyes brimming with pleading tears, begging him not to embarrass her. After only a moment's hesitation, Lu Qingjun pinned Qin Ziyi beneath him. "It's just a game. Why take it so seriously? 1 push-up, 2 push-ups, 3 push-ups." Their faces drew impossibly close, youthful bodies thrumming with restless energy. Lu Qingjun caught the intoxicating scent of youthful femininity emanating from Qin Ziyi. Her dewy eyes remained fixed on him, brimming with tender affection. It made him involuntarily recall those tender, watery soft kisses she'd given him, the sensation of her crimson lips meeting his. The young man surged. His thoughts raced ahead uncontrollably, as his shirt finally brushed against her alluring curves. Lu Qingjun's body responded. Qin Ziyi took in the entire scene, her smile growing even more scornful. That night in the remote mountain village, which she would never forget, she was pinned down by a foul-smelling, drunken old man who was equally repulsive in his behavior, desperately screaming Lu Qingjun's name. She watched as he rescued only Qin Ziyi. As her clothes were torn to shreds, she heard Lu Qingjun's deep, magnetic voice comforting Qin Ziyi. "Zhizhi, how could I bear to let others lay eyes on you?" In that moment, all hope vanished, and she finally resigned herself to biting her tongue to end her life. Ultimately, she had been too naive, steadfastly believing in someone's empty professions of deep affection all these years. His close buddies noticed and immediately started shouting and pointing at Lu Qingjun's crotch. "Oh! Holy crap, old Lu's actually getting turned on. Old Lu, you're not thinking of going after both sisters, are you, you lucky dog, living the dream?" Qin Ziyi's face flushed bright red as she curled up on the sofa, her voice barely a whisper. "Stop it, Qingjun is my sister's fiancé, he's just being kind and didn't want to embarrass me, so he played along with my game. If you keep talking, I'm going to get really mad." Lu Qingjun's ears flushed red. He was about to say something when he spotted Qin Ruyue standing at the entrance of the private room. Lu Qingjun instinctively wanted to explain himself, but in the end, he swallowed his words. There's no point in him saying so much to Qin Ruyue, no matter what. She's always been prejudiced against Qin Ziyi. Chapter 3, It's just a game. Qin Ruyue looked at him coldly, only giving a faint smile. "Oh, so you're quite the player, huh?" She cast a meaningful glance at Lu Qingjun's lower body and Qin Ziyi's flushed cheeks. Qin Ziyi shot up as if insulted, her voice trembling with tears as she retorted, "What are you implying, sister? Are you accusing me of seducing brother Qingjun? If you're ashamed to have an illegitimate daughter like me at your birthday party, just throw me out." Qin Ziyi snatched up her backpack in a huff and stormed out, but Lu Qingjun grabbed her arm. "A clear conscience laughs at false accusations. Why let the words of foul-minded people get to you?" Qin Ruyue clenched her fists, a mocking smile playing on her lips. In her previous life, when she was trapped in the vicious rumors of school bullying, Lu Qingjun had also stayed by her side, comforting her just like this. "Ruyue, don't overthink it, you didn't do what they're accusing you of. A clear conscience needs no excuses, they're just jealous of you." Yet the harm was inflicted upon her by his own hands together with Qin Ziyi. And now he absurdly plays the benevolent outsider. Now, though she had said nothing, She became the one he called filthy-minded. Qin Ryue felt waves of suffocation in her chest and couldn't help but cover it, gasping for air. The young man who once never left her side had actually always been loyal to none other than Qin Ziyi. The atmosphere in the private room suddenly turned icy, and a few classmates stepped in to smooth things over. All right, it's just a game, no need to let it spoil the mood for everyone, let's just drop it. Today is Ryue's special day, cheer up, let's start opening the presents. Everyone began presenting their birthday gifts, showering Qin Ryue with a chorus of happy birthday, elder sister. Lu Qingjuan's buddy jabbed him sharply, you've made Ryue angry. Hurry up and give her the birthday present you prepared. He deliberately raised his voice. After all the time you spent preparing it, this should really touch the birthday girl's heart. Lu Qingjun placed the jewelry box in front of Qin Ryue, though his expression remained rather sour. I worked on this for a long time, I designed it myself and had it custom made by hand. He cast a glance at Qin Ziyi, who was silently weeping without a word. His coldly handsome face betraying a hint of impatience and arrogance. Considering how much effort I put into preparing this necklace, cheer up and stop targeting Ziyi at every turn. The jewelry box opened to reveal a dazzling pink diamond necklace, shimmering exquisitely under the private room's lights, clearly a piece of immense value. The crowd erupted in excited cheers, winking suggestively as they exclaimed, as expected of young Master Lu, such extravagance, you're so blessed. Sister-in-law, put it on quickly and let us feast our eyes. Lu Qingjuan's eyes shone with the confidence of certain victory. Do you like it? I'm sure you do. Just then, Qin Ziyi timidly presented her birthday gift. Sis, I don't have much money, but please accept this small token of my affection. I hope you don't find it too humble. As she moved, the sleeve of her school uniform jacket rode up slightly, revealing a diamond bracelet set with a large pink center stone. Qin Ryue's pupils contracted sharply. Anyone with an eye for jewelry could instantly tell. The bracelet and necklace were crafted from the same raw stone, but the bracelet held the primary gem while the necklace's tiny diamonds were mere fragments from the cutting process. But that wasn't what bothered Qin Ryue. She seized Qin Ziyi's wrist with vicious intensity, demanding, Lu Qingjun, what is this? This diamond ruff was my mother's gift to you at your engagement. It's all I have left of her. Her voice was nearly hoarse with desperation. How could you give my mother's keepsake to the person who caused her death? Lu Qingjuan's face darkened. Qin Ryue, what on earth are you talking about? It's just a stone. There's no need to make such a fuss. You have so many diamond bracelets. I only gave Gigi this one. Don't be so petty. What killed your mother? How could Gigi possibly do such a thing? Just because you're angry that I was playing a game with her earlier, you have to seize on this pretext and drag her name through the mud. Qin Ryue paid no heed and kept a firm grip on Qin Ziyi's wrist. Give me back my mother's keepsake. Qin Ziyi burst into tears of fear, her face flushing bright red as she desperately tried to pull off the bracelet. I'm just a low-born bastard child. I never deserved such fine things anyway. If you wanted it, sister, I would have given it to you. But why must you slander me like this? Amid the struggle, the bracelet had dug so deeply into Qin Ziyi's slender wrist that the skin was red and swollen, making the crisscrossing self-harm scars along her artery appear even more lurid and vivid, a sight that stabbed at Lu Qingjuan's eyes. Lu Qingjun pulled the two apart, unfastened the bracelet, and flung it at Qin Ryue's feet. He snatched the necklace from the table again and hurled it straight at her face. The sharp edges of the diamond sliced a long gash across Qin Ryue's cheek, blood instantly streaming down her face. Ignoring the wound on her face, Qin Ryue threw herself to the ground, clutching the bracelet tightly as if trying to fuse it into her very bones. Lu Qingjun looked at her with utter disappointment. Qin Ryue, what's happened to you? Let's go, Gigi, it's just a diamond bracelet, I'll take you to buy one right now. As many as you want, we don't need this one. Mom's gentle voice seemed to linger in my ears. This pink diamond ruff, symbolizing love, was part of my dowry. Qingjun, when you and Ryue officially marry, use this diamond to craft your wedding rings. You promised me you would take good care of Ryue, but in her past life, Qin Ryue never discovered the whereabouts of this raw gemstone. It wasn't until her dying breath that she saw it, the fleeting pink fire glinting on those delicate fingers intertwined with Lu Qingjuan's in the pitch-black night. Qin Ryue wept until she could barely breathe, like a child who had lost everything. Mom, Yaya regrets it. Yaya truly regrets everything, whether it's jewelry or love. She would always be nothing more than an unwanted scrap. Clutching the necklace and bracelet, Qin Ryue drifted away like a lost soul. But the moment she stepped out of the private room, 2 burly bodyguards covered her mouth and nose, then threw her straight into the KTV's freezer. Her slender back slammed hard against the edge of the shelf, the impact wrenching a pained grunt from her and leaving her consciousness blank for an instant. Even so, Qin Ryue stubbornly clung to the gesture in her hand, refusing to let go no matter what. Qin Ryue looked up and was startled to find that it was Lu Qingjun and Qin Ziyi, who had left but now returned. Their hands were clasped together as they looked down at Qin Ryue from above. Qin Ryue, you've let me down terribly today. You're acting like a complete lunatic. What has Gigi ever done to wrong you? Are you only satisfied when she's dead? Since that's how you want it, you can cool off in the freezer. Remember to leave Gigi alone from now on. The chill crept up from the floorboards, seeping into the marrow of her bones, yet it was nothing compared to the icy despair gripping Qin Ryue's heart. Every bone in Qin Ryue's body screamed with pain. The agony reminded her of childhood days spent roughhousing with Lu Qingjun in the garden. She couldn't catch up to him, tumbling hard enough to scrape her knee raw and bloody. Little Lu Qingjun scrambled over, weeping even louder than her as he screamed for help with gut-wrenching sobs. It's all my fault. I'm the one who got Sister Ryue hurt, yet now, he could steal his heart and hurt her like this with his own hands. Qin Ryue held back her pain, tears welling in her eyes as she gritted her teeth and said, Lu Qingjun, which one of us has truly lost their mind? And what about you? Will you only be satisfied when I'm dead? Qin Ziyi's face showed compassion as she gently persuaded, Brother Qingjun, let it go. Lu Qingjun's handsome face was hidden in the shadows, each of his words piercing Qin Ryue's heart like needles. Don't try to persuade him. Gigi, your concessions only invite others to press you further. Qin Ryue gave a bleak smile, pushing me to the edge. Lu Qingjun, who's really been the one relentlessly pushing all along. Her voice trembled. Lu Qingjun, how did you become like this? Lu Qingjun frowned. You're still as unrepentant as ever. Qin Ryue, remember today's lesson well. There are some things I won't repeat. He tried to pull Qin Ziyi along, but she planted her feet firmly. I'd like to have a few more words with my sister, Qin Ziyi said softly. I still want to clear up this misunderstanding between us. Be careful then, I'll be right outside. The moment the freezer door closed, the calm on Qin Ziyi's face instantly twisted into a sneer. The diamond jewelry on her wrists and neck shimmered with a cold, cruel light as her leather shoe came down hard on Qin Ryue's wrist without a moment's hesitation. I'm sorry, Qin Ryue let out a muffled groan. But Qin Ziyi only laughed more wildly and unrestrainedly. The college entrance exam is just a week away, isn't it? What a shame that the top student in our grade won't be able to take it. With that, Qin Ziyi raised her foot and stomped down violently on Qin Ryue's right wrist. She ground her hard leather shoe relentlessly into Qin Ryue's slender wrist, the sickening crack of breaking bones echoing in the air. The pain was so excruciating that Qin Ryue couldn't even speak, only able to watch in wide-eyed horror as everything unfolded before her. Lying in the shadows, Qin Ryue could only watch as Lu Qingjun opened the freezer door and escorted Qin Ziyi out. Are you sure this is really okay? The searing pain in her wrist felt like it was tearing her soul in two. Just before she blacked out, she heard Lu Qingjun's icy, emotionless voice. Just a minor punishment to teach a lesson. It won't kill you. Qin Ryue's mind grew hazy, as if she had been transported back to when the family doctor was dressing her wounds. Little Lu Qingjun limped in. He'd deliberately thrown himself onto the concrete, and the gash on his knee was so deep you could see the bone. Don't cry, Ryue, I'll share your pain. Identical coin-sized wounds marked their knees in the same spot, and back then, Qin Ryue believed it was fate's indelible seal of devotion. Now the little boy had grown into a handsome young man, his charm as captivating as ever. Chapter 4. But the person he wanted to protect was no longer himself. When Qin Ryue woke up again, she was in the hospital. Her right hand still ached faintly, tightly wrapped in bandages, and even lifting it required great effort. Her eyelids felt heavy, but she could hear the voices of people around her. Qingjun, I'm so clumsy. It was too dark and I accidentally stepped on your sister's hand. I'm really sorry. What about your sister's college entrance exam? If she can't take it, then I won't take mine either. Don't talk nonsense. Go back and study right now. Your future is what matters most to me. Don't let anyone else hold you back. It's alright. I know you didn't mean it. On Ryue's behalf, I forgive you. It was the voices of Lu Qingjun and Qin Ziyi. Qin Ryue stared with vacant eyes like a ghost, tears streaming down her cheeks into the pillow. Who has the right to forgive on her behalf? Her misguided lifetime of misplaced devotion. Her humiliating and tragic death, who could possibly grant forgiveness for such suffering? You're awake. Lu Qingjun reached to tuck the quilt around Qin Ruyue, but she kept her gaze fixed intently on him. Qin Zi deliberately stomped on my hand and broke it. Lu Qingjun froze mid-motion. Zi didn't mean to, Qin Ruyue repeated, enunciating each word deliberately. She did it on purpose. Ruyue, that's enough. I was the one who locked you in the freezer. It had nothing to do with Gigi. Seeing the blank expression on Qin Ruyue's face, Lu Qingjun's tone finally softened. Didn't we agree to apply for the logistics university together? You don't need such high scores to get into that school, otherwise, those extra points would just go to waste. Gigi is actually doing you a favor here. Qin Ruyue clenched her uninjured left hand. She was the top student in her grade. A guaranteed candidate for Tsinghua or Peking University. Why should she compromise for Lu Qingjun and throw away her future on some third-rate university? If it weren't for that direct admission slot to the National Defense University, she would have been completely screwed. Qin Ruyue's voice was hoarse as she said, Lu Qingjun, do you still remember our promise to go to Tsinghua University together? On the first day of high school. Both Qin Ruyue and Lu Qingjun wrote down Tsinghua University as their target school on their aspiration cards. The thought of not being able to attend the same university as you for 4 years is honestly more painful than death to me. The teacher praised Lu Qingjun for working so hard despite his privileged background, to which he simply smiled and said, it's all for Ruyue. Back then, Qin Ruyue was Lu Qingjun's entire world, more precious to him than his own life. But after Qin Zi came into the picture, Lu Qingjun gradually set aside his books without even realizing it. He secretly accompanied her, scaling walls, skipping classes, and going to concerts, causing his grades to plummet. When Qin Ruyue asked, Lu Qingjun simply said he was going to the internet cafe to play games, to experience a bold, fearless, and passionate youth with his buddies. Spending the best years of our lives always stuck at school, it's just so boring, looking back now. It wasn't just studying he found boring, it was her, Qin Ruyue, too, Lu Qingjun said dismissively. Tsinghua University is too hard to get into, you can't aim too high. Isn't logistics university good enough? Let's just breeze through the next 4 years together. Qin Ruyue gave a bitter smile. Lu Qingjun, the real reason you want to go to logistics university is because of Qin Zi, isn't it? Why are you bringing Gigi into this again? Lu Qingjun's face darkened. Just because Gigi accidentally stepped on your hand, you think everything is her fault. Gigi has been so guilty about this that she hasn't slept well for several nights. You don't have to worry about the college entrance exam anymore, but she still needs to take it. How can you be so selfish? Qin Ruyue's eyes widened in disbelief, her voice trembling along with her shock. Is it really my fault that Qin Zi prevented me from taking the college entrance exam properly? Lu Qingjun. Who's the selfish one here? Lu Qingjun stood up and walked away, his face filled with disappointment. I really thought you'd come to realize your mistake, but it seems I was wrong. So you can't take the college entrance exam this year. There's always next year, isn't there? Qin Ruyue, you need to seriously think this through. Left alone in the deserted hospital room, Qin Ruyue felt a profound loneliness she'd never experienced before and dialed old Mr. Qin's number. Dad, I'm busy, in a meeting. The call was abruptly disconnected. 10 minutes later, the secretary transferred 1 million yuan. President Qin said you should focus on recovering and not disturb the second young lady during her college entrance exams this year. Nurses were whispering just outside the hospital room. The college entrance exam is in 3 days, and she broke her right wrist. How is she supposed to take the test now? Poor girl, she really was pitiful. Even strangers she'd never met showed her some compassion, yet her own fiancé whom she loved with all her heart and her own flesh and blood father treated her with icy indifference. Qin Ruyue felt her life was utterly absurd. With tears blurring her vision, she sent a message to Professor Lin. Professor, could you pick me up from People's Hospital to go to the airport in 3 days? Setting down her phone, Qin Ruyue plunged into an icy, pitch-black nightmare. That night in the small mountain village became her eternal nightmare, dragging her into an endless abyss. It was all coming to an end. She would leave this place far behind, never to look back. For the next 3 days, Qin Ruyue remained alone in the hospital room. Neither Lu Qingjun nor Old Master Qin showed the slightest concern, not a single word of care. The only time Lu Qingjun messaged her was to send a photo of a past exam paper. Gigi can't solve this, teach her how. Qin Ruyue sent back a, in response, "You're not preparing for the college entrance exam anymore. Can't you even spare some time to help Gigi with her studies? Chin Ryue, you're just unhappy with your own life, so you can't stand seeing Gigi do well." Chin Ryue stared at these 2 lines of text until her eyes grew sore. She remembered one year during the monthly exams, she fell out of the top 10 in her grade because of a fever. The student who had always been second to her came swaggering over, pretending to ask questions but really just showing off, but the next second, that smug boy was knocked to the ground by Lu Qingjun with a single punch, his mouth full of blood. "Ryue is only allowed to explain problems to me for the rest of her life. Who do you think you are? Get lost." Everything felt like an illusion. The Lu Qingjun of today was no longer the knight-like boy from her memories. With trembling hands, Chin Ryue finally blocked Lu Qingjun. She no longer needed his feigned protection. A new message popped up in the class group chat. The teacher was thanking the school board members for the care packages they provided for this year's college entrance exam students. "Our class extends heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Chin Ziyi's father for his generous donation of 88 Ziyi Love Meal vans." The photo shows Mr. Chin in a tailored suit, standing by a food truck for a picture with Chin Ziyi. Chin Ziyi closed her eyes and let out a self-mocking laugh. The father who was always too busy for her somehow found time to prepare all this for Chin Ziyi, even making the effort to visit her school for a photo. They were both his daughters, yet one was treasured like a jewel while the other was treated like weeds underfoot. In this world, no one needs a useless Chin Ryue. Chin Ryue swiped the screen and resolutely left the class group chat. The next day was the highly anticipated college entrance exam, yet no one remembered that Chin Ryue lay alone and helpless in the hospital ward. Chin Ryue stayed awake all night, tormented by painful memories that tore her apart. She couldn't forget Lu Qingjun's betrayal and infidelity, couldn't forget everyone's favoritism toward Chin Ziyi, couldn't forget the despair and misery of dying in that nightmare-like evening. Chin Ryue sat rigidly on the bed, waiting from dusk till dawn like a lifeless statue. In the early morning, Teacher Lin entered the ward and was shocked to see Chin Ryue's haggard appearance. "Ryue, what happened to your hand?" With tears in her eyes, Chin Ryue shook her head and said, "Mr. Lin, let's head to the airport." On the way to the airport, her phone kept buzzing with news alerts about the college entrance exam. The latest local trending story featured a video with 2 familiar faces. Heir to the Lu Group conglomerate and daughter of the Chin Group tycoon tackled a college entrance exam today. Childhood sweethearts with stunning good looks. In the video, a handsome young man and a beautiful young woman, full of youthful energy, stood at the school gate waving to the reporters. There's a rumor that the Lu and Chin families will officially announce their marriage alliance after the college entrance exams. Is this true? Chin Ziyi looked at Lu Qingjun with some panic, wanting to say something, but Lu Qingjun firmly held her hand. "It's true." His voice was magnetic, and his profile in the sunlight was breathtakingly handsome. "The person standing beside me is my fiancé, Chin Ziyi." The comments below were filled with screams. "I'm totally shipping them. They're such a perfect match, such a gorgeous campus couple. They're absolutely adorable." "Ryue, why are you crying?" Chin Ryue was jolted back to reality by Teacher Lin's words. Only then realizing her face was already streaked with tears, she hastily wiped her tears, powered off her phone, removed and snapped the SIM card in 2, then unhesitatingly tossed it into the airport trash bin. "Let's go, Professor Lin." The massive Boeing aircraft soared into the sky. Amidst the dizzying ringing in her ears, Chin Ryue's gaze was detached and vacant. "Lu Qingjun, I never want to see you again." The college entrance exam lasted 2 days, and Lu Qingjun and Chin Ziyi became the internet's favorite campus couple due to their stunning looks and perfectly matched family backgrounds. Some even called Lu Qingjun and Chin Ziyi the academic powerhouses of First High School, dubbing them the Condor heroes of the student world. "I go to First High, and Miss Chin is absolutely amazing. She consistently ranks first in our grade, plus she's incredibly beautiful. She's basically the campus goddess for so many of us. Her boyfriend is just as impressive. Sure, he's handsome and comes from a wealthy family, but he also studies really hard and gets top grades. Our teachers even told us to learn from Lu Qingjun. With his drive and resources, he's bound to succeed at anything. Just end me now. Richer people are working harder than me. Might as well give up." Sarcasm. When Lu Qingjun and Chin Ziyi took their college entrance exams, an overwhelming wave of online discussions erupted. Top students, stunning looks, campus sweethearts, Perfect match. Each of these keywords alone was exactly what netizens loved to see, not to mention being paired together like this. Chapter 5. In no time, hashtags like top-tier high school couple from Beijing No. 1 high school and fiction becoming reality started trending, giving a boost to the stock prices of both the Lu and Qin families. But Lu Qingjun and Qin Ziyi were completely unaware of all this. After finishing their final English exam, the two had planned to leave the exam hall together, only to be ambushed by reporters at the school gate, journalists who felt all restraints were lifted now that the college entrance exams were over, and found themselves completely surrounded. "How are you feeling now that the Gaokao is over? I've heard you two are first high school's famous academic power couple like the Condor heroes. Are you confident about your Gaokao results? How would you rate this year's exam difficulty? Are you both planning to attend the same university?" A barrage of questions came one after another, with cameras practically shoved in their faces. Qin Ziyi's breath hitched for a moment. It wasn't out of fear, but excitement. All these years, she had been living in Qin Ruyue's shadow. Her sister was intelligent, beautiful, ranked first in her class, multi-talented, and also held the legitimate status of being a child born within wedlock. Qin Ziyi fell short of her in every aspect. From childhood, she was taught to feign weakness, play the victim, and conceal her strength to outsmart others. She couldn't afford to show her brilliance or act aggressively, because then no one would pity or sympathize with her, and she wouldn't be able to obtain everything she desired. But even the proudest person gets tired of playing the fool all the time. Lu Qingjun didn't notice the fierce determination burning in Qin Ziyi's eyes. Seeing her slender frame tremble slightly, he assumed she was overwhelmed by the reporters' intrusive cameras and microphones. Instinctively, he moved to shield her firmly behind his solid frame, yet to Lu Qingjun's surprise, Qin Ziyi began answering the reporters' questions, her voice carrying a barely perceptible tremor. The exam was manageable, nothing too difficult. Her fresh, lovely face basked in the June sunlight, glowing with an even more dazzling and vibrant youthfulness. As the academic power couple's identity was confirmed by the individuals themselves, the reporters grew even more excited, firing off questions one after another. "Are you confident about getting into your dream school?" Qin Ziyi gave a reserved nod, tilting her delicate chin slightly. "Absolutely, I've been studying hard for the past 3 years, and now that the college entrance exams are over, I definitely deserve to treat myself." The reporter chuckled at her playful remark and continued. "So will you and this classmate Lu here be attending the same university?" Qin Ziyi gazed tenderly at Lu Qingjun with her large eyes, hooking his pinky finger and giving it an affectionate shake like an enamored young girl. "Of course, this has always been our plan all along." Lu Qingjun's moving arm abruptly froze mid-air, as he watched Qin Ziyi speaking with effortless grace. He couldn't explain why she suddenly seemed unfamiliar for a fleeting moment. This was nothing like the Qin Ziyi he remembered, the one who always kept her head bowed, timid and inarticulate. A flicker of unease passed through Lu Qingjun's heart, but he forcibly suppressed it. The Gaokao is a heavy burden that every student carries for 3 years. Now that it's finally over, isn't it only natural for Gigi to let go of the pressure and become a bit more lively and cheerful? This has always been what he hoped for. He wanted Qin Ziyi to become a bright, positive girl who doesn't always cry, didn't he? Just like Qin Ruyue. At the thought of Qin Ruyue, Lu Qingjun slightly furrowed his brow. Lu Qingjun was furious when he discovered Qin Ruyue had blocked him. Was it really such a big deal to ask her to explain a problem to Qin Ziyi? It's just a broken arm, not brain damage. She can't even do a small favor for her own sister and still acts like a spoiled princess. So Lu Qingjun didn't hesitate to block Qin Ruyue in return. When questioned by reporters, he impulsively claimed that he and Qin Ziyi were actually childhood sweethearts engaged to be married. Lu Qingjun thought to himself that he must teach Qin Ruyue a lesson. He wanted her to understand that a man's patience has its limits. This was a warning for her to stop being so arrogant and willful, and to learn to behave properly. But it seemed Qin Ruyue was genuinely angry. Lu Qingjun's attention was no longer on Qin Ziyi, who was speaking eloquently before him. His captivating peach blossom eyes lowered slightly, and he actually began to drift off into thought right in front of everyone. The sun warmed his back like the glow of Qin Ruyue's smile. A wave of relief washed over Lu Qingjun. Qin Ruyue had always indulged his every whim, and now that the college entrance exams were over, he'd finally have time to properly make it up to her. She would never stay angry with him, absolutely not. Only after Lu Qingjun and Qin Ziyi got in the car and retrieved their phones did they see the overwhelming discussions online. Lu Qingjun's mind went blank for a moment. How did things escalate to this extent? Qin Ruyue must have seen it, so why hasn't she reacted at all? Don't tell me, she's actually angry, give it back. Lu Qingjun kept opening Qin Ruyue's chat window, only to find her profile picture had turned completely black and her moments were locked. Every single post in those moments used to be connected to him in some way. Went home with Qingjun today, got a birthday gift from Qingjun, I absolutely love it. Qingjun jumped 117 places in the final exam rankings. To celebrate, I made him a fun dinner, though he said my cooking wasn't great. Now, everything's gone dark, the background, the profile picture, with a gray no entry line below. After much hesitation, Lu Qingjun finally sent a message to Qin Ruyue. The signal jammers in the exam hall hadn't been fully deactivated yet, leaving the network connection spotty. Lu Qingjun stared intently at the spinning loading icon for what felt like an eternity. His eyes grew weary from the strain, and he watched helplessly as the circle finally transformed into a bright red exclamation mark. For a moment, Lu Qingjun felt a surge of frustration and shortness of breath. Couldn't Qin Ruyue just swallow her pride and give him some slack? Would it kill her to yield a little? Why couldn't she just come ask him about those news instead of stubbornly charging ahead like a bull in a china shop? What's wrong with her? Lu Qingjun tossed his phone onto the car seat in frustration, the device landing with a dull thud. Qin Ziyi, who had been absorbed in the news nearby, seemed to sense something was off. Noticing Lu Qingjun's troubled expression, she immediately moved closer with gentle concern. Brother Qingjun, are you feeling unwell? You look a bit pale. As she spoke, Qin Ziyi's voice trembled with a hint of tears. Is it because of all the rumors about us? Are they putting you in an awkward position? I know your fiancée is my sister. I've never dared to hope for things that aren't rightfully mine. If this is truly difficult for you, I can step forward and clear everything up. I'll tell them they've mistaken my identity, that I'm neither your fiancée nor the eldest daughter of the Qin family. I'm just an illegitimate child of the Qin family. As Lu Qingjun met Qin Ziyi's glistening eyes, the hardened knot in his chest gradually softened. Shouldn't all young women be like Qin Ziyi? Lu Qingjun suppressed his anger towards Qin Ruyue and gently patted Qin Ziyi's head to comfort her. It's fine, I'm not angry. Don't clarify anything for now, otherwise, everyone will find out about your status as an illegitimate child, and that would be too damaging for you. A fleeting glimmer of secret delight flashed in Qin Ziyi's eyes as she docilely nuzzled her head against Lu Qingjun's palm. Brother Qingjun, you're so good to me. Her glistening eyes were filled with nothing but pure, wholehearted adoration and dependence. If Gigi didn't have Brother Qingjun, I truly wouldn't know what to do. Lu Qingjun responded with a muffled as daughters of the same father, Qin Ruyue and Qin Ziyi share a striking resemblance at first glance. Lu Qingjun's mind wandered for a moment, and he even mistook Qin Ziyi's face for Qin Ruyue's. If only Qin Ruyue could be this well-behaved too. Lu Qingjun shook his head firmly. Why does he keep thinking about Qin Ruyue lately? That kind of disobedient girl deserves to be taught a lesson. Lu Qingjun decided to give Qin Ruyue the cold shoulder until she realizes her mistake and comes to apologize. All these years, Qin Ruyue had been following him around like a shadow, and no matter how harshly he treated her, she would always just laugh it off. It's the same now. If Lu Qingjun just sweet-talks her a bit later, everything will be fine, won't it? With this clear plan in mind, Lu Qingjun leaned back against the leather seat, closing his eyes to rest and feigning sleep. Chapter 6. Yet a faint unease flickered through Lu Qingjun's heart. It's been 2 days since the college entrance exam ended, but online posts about it keep popping up non-stop. More and more insiders are digging up information about this golden couple and Condor heroes like pair. The exaggerated praise and unrealistic rumors made Qin Ziyi feel a bit uneasy. Late at night, while old Mr. Qin was away on a business trip abroad and only Qin Ziyi's biological mother Hui Yanhua was home, Qin Ziyi slipped into her mother's bedroom. Hui Yanhua meticulously tended to her reflection, a face that defied age with its lingering elegance, carefully anointing it with skincare potions more precious than gold. Her hands were slender and delicate, their unblemished grace betraying a lifetime sheltered from even the slightest household chore. I thought you had more patience, Gigi. It seems you're still too impetuous. Qin Ziyi froze for a moment before the realization dawned on her. Mom, are you saying you're the one who leaked all that information online? Hui Yanhua arched an eyebrow, her beautiful face instantly taking on a sharp, dismissive expression, "Of course it was me. I even arranged for those reporters to interview you and that Lu boy before you entered the exam hall." Qin Zi couldn't grasp Hui Yanhua's intention. What possible benefit could this bring her? "Mom, what do you mean by doing this?" Hui Yanhua tilted her head, gazing at her daughter who bore a striking resemblance to her. On Qin Zi's youthful, radiant face lay a blend of bewilderment and innocence. Seeing this, Hui Yanhua let out a soft sigh. Gigi is her daughter, but she's still too young. Even after years of absorbing her skills through constant exposure, she has only grasped about 30% of the essence so far. Qin Zi might be able to handle the young Lu Qingjun now, but she may not be able to charm the future head of the Lu family. Young Master Lu, nor the formidable Lu clan members who are watching closely with keen interest. Hui Yanhua didn't directly answer Qin Zi's question. Instead, she posed a completely unrelated one to her. "Did you know that Qin Ruyue didn't even take the college entrance exam this year?" Qin Zi froze for a moment, then shook her head. She knew exactly how much force she had put into that kick. Qin Ruyue's wrist was broken, and there was no way she could achieve the same excellent results as before. So what does it matter whether Qin Ruyue took the college entrance exam or not? And how is it related to Hui Yanhua's schemes? You probably don't know this yet, but that boy from the Lu family has never given up on Qin Ruyue. After all, you haven't spent much time with him, but that wretched girl Qin Ruyue grew up with Lu Qingjun since childhood. Even if you think you've won Lu Qingjun's heart. Men are just like that, they waver between options and never settle down. Your father doesn't want to send you abroad, he's traditional and believes you should finish college in China, but you've had a weak academic foundation since childhood. Studying here would only get you into some diploma mill. I originally planned to buy you a degree after graduate school, just to make your resume look somewhat presentable. And then that Lu boy found out and said he'd apply to the same logistics university you're planning to attend, didn't he? Qin Zi nodded instinctively. It was because Lu Qingjun, who had far better grades than her and could easily get into a top-tier university, gave up opportunities for prestigious schools and studying abroad, determined to apply for a logistics university with her. That made her feel she had the upper hand and had completely won over Lu Qingjun's heart. Did you know that Lu Qingjun has been trying to persuade Qin Ruyue to apply for the logistics university together? Qin Zi's face instantly darkened. "Mom, what did you just say?" Hui Yanhua frowned with displeasure as she watched her daughter, whose every emotion was plainly written on her face. She had lost count of how many times she had told Qin Zi that no matter how overwhelming her inner turmoil might be, she should never let it show on her face. That was the only way to avoid revealing weakness, yet Qin Zi remained the same. The slightest trouble would make her turn pale with fright. Qin Zi paced back and forth anxiously a couple of times. Hui Yanhua said in a low voice, "What are you so worked up about?" Qin Zi spun around abruptly, her voice rising involuntarily. "How can I not be worried? Lu Qingjun and Qin Ruyue are already engaged. If they end up going to the same university in the future, how am I supposed to become Qingjun's rightful wife? If brother Qingjun isn't fully committed to spending his life with me, how could Qin Ruyue's engagement possibly fall to me? After all, she's the legitimate daughter of the Qin family. And how would the shrewd Lius ever allow someone like me to marry into their family as brother Qingjun's wife?" Hui Yanhua stared into Qin Zi's eyes, her gaze so intense that it sent a chill down Qin's spine, gradually forcing her to calm down. Then, she spoke slowly and deliberately, emphasizing each word. "That's precisely why I orchestrated this whole charade. You don't know yet, but Qin Ruyue not only skipped the college entrance exam, she actually accepted that one-of-a-kind spot from First High School, the direct admission to the classified program at National Defense University. She's already left for a secret base out in the remote northwest. No one can reach her now, not even your dear brother Qingjun or your own father." Qin Zi was completely bowled over by the barrage of shocking news. Stunned speechless, her lush crimson lips parted and closed several times, yet in the end, not a single word escaped. "Qin Ruyue, she's gone." "Indeed," Hui Yanhua remarked coolly, leisurely admiring her manicured nails that resembled spring onions. "So this is your chance. No one can reach Qin Ruyue, and no one can prove it wasn't you. That means there's no one to contradict your story, so everything that belonged to her will now be yours to take over. Her glory, status, position, life story, even her man, if you're willing. From this day forward, it all becomes yours." Qin Zi's eyes widened slightly, but this time they sparkled not with unease, but with excitement. "This time, my reason for doing this is quite obvious. I want everyone to know that you are the only young lady of the Qin family. And you are the only one engaged to Lu Qingjun. The further and longer this spreads, the better, so far that even if the Lu family is unwilling to accept a child born out of wedlock as the wife of their only son, they'll have no choice but to grudgingly accept you due to public opinion, so long that everyone took it for granted that you two were meant to be, to the point where no other woman could ever find a place by Lu Qingjuan's side. Qin Ziyi's eyes grew wider and wider with Hui Yanhua's words, until they were filled with a feverish, almost intoxicated fervor. "Mom, you're amazing." Hui Yanhua smirked triumphantly, the sarcastic curve of her lips nearly distorting her stunningly beautiful face. "And there are other perks too. Don't you young people love creating content these days? For instance, you could ride this wave of public attention and start your own personal account, showing everyone how the eldest daughter of the Qin family lives. People always favor the rich over the poor, and netizens are even more that way. Soon enough, everyone will know you're the one and only Qin family heiress. Even if Qin Riyue comes back, she'll have no choice but to accept that you've taken everything that was hers." Qin Ziyi nodded vigorously, her cheeks flushing a deep crimson. "Mom, I know exactly what I need to do now." Hui Yanhua gently stroked Qin Ziyi's cheek and smiled meaningfully. "Zhi, I made you so beautiful, you won't let us down. Remember this, every single humiliation that Qin Riyue and her daughter have put us through over the years will be repaid in full one day." Qin Ziyi didn't sleep a wink all night. Lying in bed, Qin Ziyi couldn't get Hui Yanhua's words out of her mind. Waves of joy and excitement washed over her, burning so intensely that her eyes turned red. Qin Ziyi would never forget the first time she laid eyes on Qin Riyue. Back then, Mrs. Qin was still alive, and neither she nor Hui Yanhua's existence had been exposed. Qin Riyue remained the cherished and privileged young lady of the Qin family, admired by all. Mrs. Qin's maternal family was very influential, even though old Mr. Qin doted on his wife and daughter. He never agreed to let Qin Ziyi and Hui Yanhua return to the Qin family's ancestral home. Over the years, old Mr. Qin had been regularly sending money to Hui Yanhua to cover the living expenses for her and her daughter. Hui Yanhua had never worked a day in her life, yet she enjoyed a life of luxury. She and Qin Ziyi lived in a spacious penthouse in the city's most bustling area, with walk-in closets filled with designer clothes and handbags. But it wasn't enough, not nearly enough. It was a sweltering summer afternoon when Qin Ziyi treated a few classmates to Häagen-Dazs at the International Trade Mall. At 150 yuan per ice cream set, it felt completely out of reach for a group of teenage girls who had just started middle school. They scooped up the ice cream while showering Qin with compliments, marveling at her wealth and seemingly perfect life, calling her a young lady from a wealthy family and gushing about how envious they were. Qin Ziyi basked in the flattery, yet felt a mix of disdain and amusement watching them be so easily won over by such a trivial amount. She smugly smoothed her perfectly styled curls. "It's just pocket change, means nothing to me." With her striking looks and top grades, Qin Ziyi naturally became the center of attention, but as Qin Ziyi listlessly toyed with the ice cream in her porcelain bowl, a chorus of awestruck gasps and sighs erupted from the girls nearby. "She's so elegant, this feels like something straight out of a TV drama, like stepping out of Morong Yunhai's car. And she's absolutely stunning, even more beautiful than Xu Yushuan, like a real celebrity." Qin Ziyi suddenly turned her head and saw a stretch Bentley parked outside the mall. A bodyguard in black suit and sunglasses respectfully bowed and opened the car door for the esteemed young lady, his white-gloved hand shielding the doorframe to prevent her from bumping her head. A foot clad in gleaming patent leather shoes emerged, immediately followed by another bodyguard unfurling a large parasol for her. Even for the mere 2 steps to the entrance, every bit of the scorching sunlight overhead had to be blocked. The girl who stepped out appeared around their age, with sleek, flowing black hair and an impeccably worn school uniform skirt from the most prestigious private school in Jing City. A delicate necklace graced her neck, its pendant only half visible as the rest disappeared beneath her short sleeve. Yet the dazzling brilliance of the gem seemed to shimmer so brightly in the sunlight it could nearly blind you. With just one glance, Qin Ziyi recognized it. The girl was wearing her favorite heirloom high jewelry piece. Chapter 7. Even though she and her mother were deeply cherished, her father still couldn't casually buy such an expensive, auction-grade jewel for Qin Ziyi, yet this girl wore the necklace to and from school with such nonchalance, treating the priceless piece as if it were a $10 trinket from a street stall. Qin Ziyi's gaze traveled upward once more, finally settling on the girl's exquisitely beautiful face. She had seen this face countless times on Hui Yanhua's phone, a visage she could never forget even if she turned to ashes. The true young mistress of the Qin family, the lofty and untouchable Qin Ruyue. The very same Qin Ruyue who stood in their way of taking over the Qin family and stole what should have been Qin Ziyi's perfect life. The girls nearby couldn't help but keep exclaiming in admiration, "She's absolutely stunning. How much do you think that necklace around her neck costs? 10,000, or maybe 20, that car must be really expensive too. This is the first time I've ever seen someone with bodyguards in real life. I think she." Qin Ziyi stood up abruptly, slamming the table with a heavy thud as she suddenly raised her voice in a sharp rebuke. "Shut up, all of you." The sharpness of her voice startled the young women into immediate silence. They exchanged bewildered glances, unsure why Qin Ziyi had suddenly lost her temper and uncertain how to respond. "What's so impressive? Are you that jealous of her? Ugh, what a bunch of country bumpkins with no life experience, unbelievable." Qin Ziyi grabbed her backpack and jacket, heading out as the hushed whispers behind her drilled right into her ears. She covered her ears and quickly ran away from the spot. Seriously, what's with her acting all high and mighty? Does she really think she's some kind of princess, buying us ice cream and acting all high and mighty? Who does she think she is, flaunting her lousy money like that? She's got nothing going for her except her looks and her stinking money. She came in last place again on the monthly exam. What's even going on in that head of hers? Have you guys heard? Qin Ziyi's mom is working as, you know what? Spill the tea already. Oh, I just overheard some parents gossiping. They said no one's ever seen Qin Ziyi's father, and her mother has this seductive, vixen-like vibe, definitely doesn't seem like a respectable woman. They say Qin Ziyi's mother is someone's mistress, and Qin Ziyi is an illegitimate child. Wow, and here she acts all high and mighty every day. Turns out she's nothing special. How embarrassing. Clenching her jaw, Qin Ziyi sprinted desperately forward, determined to escape the murmurs of judgment. Why her? Why, how did Qin Ruyue get so lucky in life? Aside from being born into a better family, what does she have over Qin Ziyi? Why does Qin Ziyi get all the good things in life? She and her mother are stuck in this miserable existence, forever the subject of gossip. After that day, rumors started spreading at school. Qin Ziyi felt utterly helpless and couldn't bear it any longer, leaving her no choice but to transfer. She was only in middle school, yet this was already the fourth time Qin Ziyi had to transfer for the same reason. It was then that Qin Ziyi came to a stark realization. Qin Ruyue took everything that rightfully belonged to her. One day, she would take it all back, and she loathed Qin Ruyue, so much so that she wanted to tear her limb from limb and make her suffer 1,000 cuts. Qin Ziyi barely managed to fall asleep just before dawn. After getting up, she immediately booked a home care therapist for a full-body SPA, then hired both a makeup artist and a stylist to get her ready. In the mirror, the young girl's figure was slender and graceful, her face pure and beautiful. Dressed in a white blouse and a dark plaid skirt, she radiated such a vibrant, youthful energy that she stood out even more strikingly. Qin Ziyi found a spot with good lighting and deliberately, yet casually, let the authentic masterpiece, brought back by old Mr. Qin from an auction, and the luxuriously decorated villa hallway behind her come into view. She tilted her head slightly, revealing her slender neck, along with the sparkling, expensive jewelry adorning her earlobes and collarbones, all tastefully understated, everything just perfect. After taking a few live selfies, Qin Ziyi created a social media account and posted her first blog entry. Gigi no idea. / the college entrance exams are over, finally free, / Her beautiful face became even more striking when enlarged. In just 10 minutes after posting, the blog received over 10,000 likes and comments, and the account Gigi no idea started gaining followers rapidly. Beaming with joy, Qin Ziyi stared intently at the skyrocketing data on the back end, her cheeks flushed with excitement. Is this what it feels like to become an overnight sensation? No wonder that great female writer once said, "Achieve fame while you're young. It's such an incredible feeling." Qin Ziyi hummed a tune, twirling her hair playfully with her fingers, already contemplating what to post in her next blog entry. Some classmates from first high school had already discovered Qin Ziyi's account and privately messaged her to confirm if it was really her. "Of course it's me." The message from the classmate across from her was filled with admiration. "That's amazing, Gigi. You're practically an internet celebrity now. After all these years, Qin Zi felt like the girl who once had her dignity crushed in that Haagen-Dazs shop was finally standing tall again. Oh stop, you're exaggerating. I'm nowhere near being an internet celebrity. Qin Zi put down her phone and browsed through her account again. The comments were still multiplying at an exponential rate. Oh my god. Sister Gigi is absolutely stunning, she's practically the campus goddess. If I had such a beautiful classmate back in my school days, I probably wouldn't have been able to focus in class at all, haha. And Gigi really is from a wealthy family. That oil painting behind her is an authentic piece. I saw this exact painting at a Christie's auction before, and the price was astronomical. The jewelry on her neck and ears is so expensive, and the villa's decor is incredibly luxurious. She must be rolling in money. Qin Zi curled her lips into a smile and, as if tireless, scrolled through the lengthy comments from top to bottom, casually deleting two that questioned whether she was truly the Qin family's young lady and suggested it was all just a socialite persona, just jealous remarks. Why should she even care? Just then, a call abruptly cut in, interrupting Qin Zi's good mood as she was enjoying the comments. She was about to frown and hang up when she saw Brother Qingjun displayed on the caller ID. Qin Zi's heart skipped a beat. Taking 2 deep breaths, she finally answered the call and cooed in a sugary voice, "Brother Qingjun, what's up? Did you create a social media account?" Qin Zi suppressed her guilt and said nonchalantly, "Is there a problem, Qingjun? I've always wanted to try being a content creator since my student days. You know, my sister is the rightful heir of the Qin family. I just want to see if I can achieve something in another field, so at least I won't seem completely incompetent. When my sister takes over the company, she won't give me too hard a time, and I can support myself with income from content creation." By the end of her words, Qin Zi's voice was trembling on the verge of tears. "Brother Qingjun, are you angry with me?" Lu Qingjun's breath hitched. "No, I was just asking." When he saw people discussing Qin Zi's social media account in the class group chat, Lu Qingjun's first thought was that they had mistaken her for someone else. Qin Zi has always been such a quiet and well-behaved person. What made her suddenly dive into the internet and social media scene, and with such high-profile flair? And then there were all those comments discussing her status as the eldest daughter of the Qin family, praising her beauty, saying they'd have a crush on her for 3 years if they were in school together, and calling her their lifelong white moonlight. For some reason, Lu Qingjun felt an inexplicable discomfort in his heart, but he never expected that it was actually Qin Zi herself who had created the account. So what? Gigi had no other choice, Lu Qingjun tried to convince himself. Given Qin Ruyue's temperament and the intense conflict with Qin Zi, once she takes control of the Qin group, she will certainly not let Qin Zi and her mother off the hook. "I didn't mean anything by it," Lu Qingjun softened his tone. "Gigi, don't worry too much. Ryue won't do anything to you. No matter what happens, I'll always have your back." A delighted smile spread across Qin Zi's face as she nodded emphatically, her joy practically radiating through the telephone line. Gigi always knew Brother Qingjun was the best. "When I start earning money, I'll buy Brother Qingjun a gift." After hanging up the phone, Lu Qingjun found himself wishing Qin Ryue could be as compliant as Qin Zi. He jolted awake to the realization that thoughts of Qin Ryue had been creeping into his mind with increasing frequency lately. Day after day slipped by, yet Qin Ryue's profile picture remained a black void, her social feed stayed locked, and every message he sent still bore that glaring red exclamation mark. Qin Ryue showed not the slightest intention of reaching out to him. Lu Qingjun furrowed his brow and contacted Qin Ryue's close friends at school. But the responses he got were all pretty much the same. "Oh, I don't know anything about Qin Ryue's recent situation. Isn't Qin Ryue your fiancé? If even you don't know what's going on with her, Lu, how would we know? What are you talking about?" Lu himself admitted in front of the reporters that Qin Zi is the real Mrs. Lu. "Cut the crap, you guys. Ha 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 ha. No one knows how Qin Ryue has been doing lately." Lu Qingjun was too upset to bother with their nonsense in the group chat. He tried to force himself to calm down, but the unease in his heart kept surging like tidal waves, growing more and more intense. Is Qin Ryue actually angry with him? A full half-month had passed without Lu Qingjun hearing a single word from Qin Ryue. His initial confidence gradually gave way to growing agitation. Why did Qin Ryue vanish without a trace? According to Lu Qingjun, Qin Ryue hadn't even returned to the Qin family's ancestral home. Old Mr. Qin had been on business trips recently and never cared much for his daughter Qin Ryue anyway. The only person he ever cared about was Qin Ziyi. Both Qin Ziyi and Hui Yanhua acted as if Qin Ruyue had never existed in the family. The same went for their classmates at No. 1 high school. Ever since Qin Ziyi's social media accounts started updating frequently and gaining followers explosively, the focus of everyone's discussions has shifted away from the academically excellent, intelligent, and beautiful Qin Ruyue to Qin Ziyi, who is clearly on her way to becoming a major internet celebrity. Lu Qingjun felt waves of anxiety. If it weren't for the memories of Qin Ruyue that filled the room, evidence of their childhood together growing up as close companions, Lu Qingjun would have thought that someone like Qin Ziyi had never even existed in his life. Lu Qingjun just couldn't wrap his head around it. Tossing and turning in bed, he sent message after message to Qin Ruyue. Qin Ruyue, where have you gone? Aren't you a bit old for this disappearing act? Qin Ruyue, do you have any idea how worried everyone is? At least tell me where you are right now. Could you please take me off your blacklist? Qin Ruyue, are you still mad at me? Oh man, you girls really hold grudges. I'm the bigger person here, let me apologize first. Please don't be angry anymore. Alright, Lu Qingjun's messages kept piling up, each one longer than the last, yet Qin Ruyue's chat window remained dead silent. The screen was filled with green message bubbles and red exclamation marks, glaring painfully at the eyes. Qin Ruyue, the college entrance exam scores are about to be released. Do you know how you did? Don't forget you promised to apply to Logistics University with me. We agreed we'd go to the same college. You can't break your word. There are only a few days left until we check our scores and go back to school for our files. Qin Ruyue, how long are you going to keep avoiding me? I've already said I'm sorry. Can't you just stop being mad at me? Lu Qingjun didn't even know that Qin Ruyue hadn't taken the national college entrance exam this year at all. Hey, Qin Ruyue, could you at least acknowledge me? Still, there was no response. Lu Qingjun checked Qin Ruyue's social media feed countless times, but it remained completely empty, with no changes at all. He tossed his phone aside, tossing and turning in bed, unable to fall asleep no matter how hard he tried. Chapter 8. There's just one day left until the Gaokao scores are released. Today, Old Man Qin finally wrapped up his work inspection in South America, concluding his 2-week business trip. Lu Qingjun was visiting the Qin family again today. He simply couldn't stand staying at his own place any longer, so when Qin Ziyi invited him over, he gladly took the opportunity. He desperately wanted to see some trace of Qin Ruyue. Even the slightest reminder would give him a moment's peace. But after arriving at the Qin residence, Lu Qingjun suddenly realized there were hardly any traces of Qin Ruyue left. Instead, signs of Qin Ziyi were everywhere. The walls were now covered with various family portraits of old Mr. Qin, Hui Yanhua, and Qin Ziyi, yet Lu Qingjun distinctly remembered that before Mrs. Qin passed away, those same walls had displayed photos of old Mr. Qin, Mrs. Qin, and Qin Ruyue. The spacious walk-in closet was filled with colors Qin Ruyue disliked, and none of the jewelry pieces were to her taste. In fact, Lu Qingjun had seen many of those same accessories adorning Qin Ziyi. When Lu Qingjun pushed open the door to Qin Ruyue's room, he was taken aback by how drastically it had changed. Her room used to be decorated like a fairy tale princess's sanctuary, with layers of pink lace curtains cascading from the windows. The furniture featured vintage pieces shipped directly from Italy, while plush toys and antique dolls occupied every corner. Now, however, the space had been stripped down to such minimalist simplicity that it hardly resembled a home befitting their social standing. Qin Ruyue's belongings were startlingly sparse, and the room maintained an almost sterile tidiness. A thought flashed through Lu Qingjun's mind in a daze. It felt less like Qin Ruyue's home and more like a temporary pit stop, just somewhere to rest, no different from a hotel. Lu Qingjun's breath hitched as he pushed open the door to Qin Ziyi's room next door. The moment he stepped inside, it struck him that this should have been Qin Ruyue's room all along. Custom-made furniture filled the space, including a marble table worth millions and silk curtains meticulously chosen for their elegance. Lu Qingjun felt perplexed. Why was it always Qin Ziyi who got bullied and overlooked? Yet every little detail suggested that the real outcast in this family was actually Qin Ruyue. Lu Qingjun couldn't make sense of it. Just then, the butler came upstairs and announced, "Young Master Lu, Mr. Qin has returned. He requests your presence downstairs." Lu Qingjun suppressed the surging emotions in his heart and followed the butler downstairs. On the spiral staircase, Lu Qingjun clearly saw Qin Ziyi darting toward old Mr. Qin like a joyful little bird, flying into his embrace like a fledgling swallow. Qin Zi's clear voice rang out repeatedly, "Daddy, Daddy, Zi missed you so much, old mister." Qin revealed a gentle smile, a father's instinctive love for his daughter, brimming so fully on his face it seemed ready to overflow. "Be good, Gigi. Daddy misses you too." Qin Zi held up her phone to show old Mr. Qin her social media account. In just half a month, Qin Zi had gained millions of followers across all platforms, with every video going viral. Labels like Qin Family Heiress, Little Princess, Born with a Silver Spoon, Beauty and Brains, and Perfect Life had firmly stuck to Qin Zi. Qin Zi has become the envy of the entire internet, with many netizens joking, "I'd give anything to live such a luxurious life for just one day, even if it meant being draped in gold and jewels." Old Mr. Qin carefully reviewed Qin Zi's account and watched all the videos she had posted over the past half-month. Then, he affectionately patted her head and said, "Well done, Gigi, you're truly your father's daughter." Lu Qingjun watched the intimate father-daughter pair with a moment of confusion. Wasn't it said that Gigi wasn't valued by old Mr. Qin at home? Her status as an illegitimate child made her situation awkward. Old Mr. Qin disliked her, and she had a difficult life in the Qin family. Why does old Mr. Qin always seem to treat Qin Zi so well? Could it be that things have never been what he thought they were? Before Lu Qingjun could figure it out, old Mr. Qin had already placed the gifts he brought back from South America on the coffee table. "I brought back some things for you and your mother. Take a look and see if you like them. Especially for Gigi, you've been doing so well. Dad has heard all about it. You've gained quite a following, even the Qin Corporation stock has risen because of it. This time, Dad is really going to reward you properly." With a cheer, Qin Zi was the first to open the gift box tied with a lace ribbon. Inside lay a magnificent diamond necklace, dazzling with a rainbow of colors, each gem's brilliance breathtakingly stunning and radiant. Hui Yanhua also opened her gift with a smile. It was a diamond necklace as well, though its design was more understated than Qin Zi's, and the central stone was larger. Naturally, the price is also higher. South America produces diamonds, and I attended some local auctions this time. Consider these my souvenirs for you. Lu Qingjun interjected abruptly. "Uncle Qin, Qin Ruyue is away on business lately. What about her gift? I can deliver it to Ruyue on Uncle Qin's behalf." Old Mr. Qin's face stiffened, and Hui Yanhua and Qin Zi's expressions also turned awkward. Old Mr. Qin cleared his throat. "Ruyue doesn't like these things." Lu Qingjun pressed further. "Did you bring any other souvenirs back for Ruyue?" Aunt Hua and Gigi both got something. "Ruyue is your daughter too?" Old Mr. Qin waved his hand somewhat flustered. "Ah, Ruyue is of course my daughter too. I did buy her a gift, but with so much luggage. I had my secretary check it in, it's with her." Lu Qingjun didn't press further, but his heart seemed to slowly sink into a bottomless abyss. He wasn't a fool, he could clearly see how things stood in the Qin family now. Old Mr. Qin had just returned from a business trip to South America, yet he couldn't even be bothered to go through the motions of getting a gift for his own daughter. Qin Ruyue had been away from home for so long. As the head of the household, old Qin must have received some news about her absence. Yet he showed no concern. Even after returning for quite some time, he never once inquired about her whereabouts. Indeed, he doted on one daughter excessively while treating the other with utter indifference. It's just that their identities were the complete opposite of what Lu Qingjun had imagined. The one being neglected wasn't Qin Zi, it was Qin Ruyue. Qin Zi looked helplessly at Hui Yanhua, hinting that Lu Qingjun's expression was grim. Hui Yanhua shook her head, signaling Qin Zi not to act rashly. Old Mr. Qin ignored the junior from the Lu family. He took a contract out of his briefcase and handed it to Qin Zi with a smile, asking her to sign it. "Gigi, to reward you for doing such a great job with your social media, which helped Qin Group's stock surge, Dad is going to give you a gift." Old Mr. Qin slowly opened it, and Qin Zi's eyes widened in shock. "That's a share transfer agreement for the Qin Group, for your coming-of-age ceremony. I was originally planning to transfer 5% of the shares to you, but your recent performance has made your father so proud that I've decided to increase it to 10%. Qin Zi has been making old Mr. Qin incredibly proud lately. Not only has the Qin Group been raking in massive profits, but he's also gained tremendous face among his friends. After all, Qin Zi is now the most outstanding young person among all their social circle. Building a 1 million-follower account in just half a month isn't something just anyone can pull off. Overjoyed, old Mr. Qin decided to go all out with a grand gesture. Qin Zi no longer cared about Lu Qingjuan's displeased expression. She immediately signed her name and hugged old Mr. Qin, letting out a muffled squeal of excitement. I absolutely love this gift, thank you, Dad. I'll work my hardest and won't let you down. Dad, I'll be your right-hand man, Dad. I'm going to help you manage the Qin Corporation with everything I've got. Watching the father and daughter share such a tender, joyful moment, Lu Qingjun was suddenly overwhelmed by a profound sense of loneliness he'd never felt before. After all, he was just an outsider here, so all these years, how had Qin Ruyue really been living in this household? Qin Ruyue was the biological daughter of the elder Mr. Qin, yet after Mrs. Qin passed away, she went from being the cherished Qin family heiress to a completely isolated and lonely figure. Lu Qingjun no longer wanted to stay there. He stood up to take his leave, saying, Uncle Qin, Aunt Hua, Gigi, I have some matters to attend to at home, so I won't disturb your family gathering any longer. In an instant, Qin Zi snapped out of her clever triumph and looked at Lu Qingjun with a hint of concern. Brother Qingjun, don't forget we're going to school together tomorrow to pick up the files. I remember. Lu Qingjun nodded, turned around and left without looking back. Tomorrow is the day to check the scores. Lu Qingjun thought back to the overwhelming praise online for Qin Zi as the beauty scholar that day and let out a soft sigh. For some reason, Lu Qingjun had a strong premonition. This time, Qin Zi might be heading for a major fall, but Lu Qingjun had no intention of warning Qin Zi, who was already dizzy with joy. He planned to stand by and watch with cold detachment. Lu Qingjun had called Qin Zi back when she first set up her social media account. Whatever happens from now on is Qin Zi's own choice and has nothing to do with Lu Qingjun. Even after getting into the Lu family car, Lu Qingjun could still faintly hear the laughter and chatter drifting from the Qin family's old mansion. He shook his head, got into the Maybach, and the driver stepped on the gas, sending the black car speeding into the brightly lit streets of Beijing. I hope Qin Zi won't regret it when the building collapses. Just after midnight, Lu Qingjun checked his exam scores. It was a mediocre score, enough to get him into that so-called logistics university, but far from the Tsinghua University he had once promised Qin Ruyue they would attend together. Lu Qingjun gripped his phone, momentarily stunned. If it weren't for Qin Zi's arrival and all those rebellious and absurd things you two did instead of studying during the second half of senior year, his college entrance exam scores would have been impressive too. A bitter feeling welled up in Lu Qingjuan's chest, though he couldn't tell if this emotion was what people called regret, but it was too late for regrets. The Lu family, however, was quite pleased when they heard the news. To be fair, Lu Qingjuan's academic performance was quite respectable among the aimless rich kids. At least his scores were decent enough to get him into a good university in China on his own merit, without relying on family donations or connections. It was all over, yet Lu Qingjun couldn't shake off the feeling of dissatisfaction. He knew he could have done better. There was a time when he studied as hard as any ordinary person with no family backing. When his family asked which university he wanted to apply to, Lu Qingjun remained silent for a long time. Ever since that day he witnessed the intimate interactions between Qin Zi and old Mr. Qin at home. Lu Qingjun suddenly lost all interest in applying to the University of Logistics. Chapter 9. That school was truly awful. Lu Qingjun refused to exile himself to such a place again because of Qin Zi. After much contemplation, he finally made up his mind. Mom, Dad, I want to study abroad. Early the next morning, Lu Qingjun and Qin Zi went to First High School to collect their academic records. The air was thick with a mix of anxiety and excitement as students eagerly discussed their college entrance exam scores, while those who performed poorly sat in silence on the sidelines, saying nothing. After all, not everyone had the safety net of a wealthy family like Lu Qingjun and his peers, who could rely on their backgrounds to cushion any setbacks. The moment Qin Zi stepped into the classroom, a sudden hush fell over the room, followed by an eruption of commotion, like water splashed into a sizzling oil pan. Gigi's here, look who it is, our superstar. Gigi, come sit over here with me. Everyone was incredibly warm, showering Qin Zi with enthusiastic greetings, but Lu Qingjun keenly noticed that Qin Zi's expression wasn't quite natural. Her smile seemed slightly forced. And instead of accepting any classmates' invitations to sit with them, she took a seat beside Lu Qingjun. Lu Qingjun asked knowingly, "How did your exam go?" Qin Ziyi's smile grew even more strained, almost to the point of crumbling, looking particularly awkward. "Just, the usual." Qin Ziyi changed the subject, not wanting to dwell on the matter. "How did your exams go, Qingjun?" Lu Qingjun gave a casual nod. "Not bad." There was a hint of in Qin Ziyi's voice. "You remember our plan to apply to Logistics University together, right?" Qingjun, almost without thinking, Lu Qingjun avoided a direct answer, responding with a non-committal that gave nothing away. Qin Ziyi let out a soft sigh of relief upon hearing Lu Qingjun's murmured "aham," as if afraid someone might notice. Qin Ziyi bit her lip. Her exam results were even worse than she had imagined. Although her scores barely met the threshold for the logistics university she had once dreamed of attending with Lu Qingjun, their current circumstances were a world apart from what they used to be. She is now Qin Ziyi, the esteemed daughter of the Qin family known as the beauty scholar, not the illegitimate child who planned to casually attend university domestically, study abroad for a superficial degree, and return to idle away her life. Only after the results came out did Qin Ziyi belatedly realize that she might have overplayed her hand. Her reputation as a beauty scholar is now widely recognized by netizens, and this persona is deeply entrenched. If it were exposed that she only scored this low on the college entrance exam and ended up at a third-rate diploma mill, what would she do? Qin Ziyi applied thick layers of foundation and concealer to her face because she had barely slept all night after checking her scores. And she couldn't show the slightest hint of weakness in front of old Mr. Qin. Huyenhua gave a non-committal shake of her head, her tone dismissive. "These people make a mountain out of a molehill. Your viral fame online is all because of your looks, and let's not forget your status as the Qin family's young lady and your engagement to the Lu family's eldest son. What does academic performance even matter, in families like ours? Who even cares about something as trivial as college entrance exam results?" Yet, an inexplicable sense of dread began to creep up from the depths of Qin Ziyi's heart. It wasn't that simple. She lay awake all night, staring into the darkness of the ceiling. Apart from her pretty face, every label attached to her was a lie. The true heiress of the Qin family was Qin Ruyue. The childhood sweetheart engaged to Lu Qingjun was also Qin Ruyue, and this world was full of beautiful girls. Seated in the classroom, Qin Ziyi was deaf to the chatter around her, feeling only the sword of Damocles hanging over her head. Whether intentional or not, two girls who had been close to Qin Ruyue and always looked down on Qin Ziyi's behavior were whispering behind her, their voices hushed, yet perfectly audible to Qin Ziyi. "Ha, the college entrance exam results are out. Let's see how Qin Ziyi keeps up her act now. A bastard child will always be second-rate. She's so used to snatching what isn't hers, she actually believes it belongs to her. How pathetic." Just the other day, I mentioned that I was in the same class as Qin Ziyi. I said her grades have always been poor, she was consistently at the bottom of the class. Where did this idea of her being a super genius from first high school even come from? But don't you think those people online are ridiculous? They're acting like they're possessed, claiming I'm just jealous of Qin Ziyi, jealous that she's pretty, that she's rich, and that she has such an outstanding fiancé. Me, jealous of Qin Ziyi? What is there to be jealous of? That her mother was the other woman, that Lu Qingjun plays both sides with the Qin sisters and is nothing but a worthless scumbag with a pretty face. The voice from directly behind grew more and more animated. The girl beside her glanced subtly at the back of Qin Ziyi's head and tugged at her agitated friend. "Alright, I know you're upset on Yeye's behalf, but she's the bigger person and doesn't care about that scumbag and his floozy. No need to get so worked up. You're right, I just can't stand it. How dare they act so high and mighty after what they did? Yeye should have started her research in the Northwest by now. I wonder how she's doing." Before she could finish, Lu Qingjun spun around abruptly. "What did you say?" The girl named Chen Mingzhu was startled, then shot Lu Qingjun a disdainful look. "Young Master Lu, you're quite the internet celebrity now. Since when did you start eavesdropping on girls' private conversations like some shameless creep? What I say is none of your damn business. Don't think everyone is as tolerant as Yeye, putting up with your entitled young master attitude." Amidst the blatant sarcasm, Lu Qingjun struggled to maintain his composure, suppressing the fury rising in his throat. "I just overheard you saying something about Ruyue going to the Northwest. What's going on?" Chen Mingzhu said with a sarcastic tone. "Aren't you, young Master Lu, Yeye's fiancé? How come you have no idea where she's gone?" Seems like all your attention has been on some irrelevant green tea bitch lately. The girl beside her pulled her back again and gave Lu Qingjun a gentle smile. We came to pick up the files today and noticed Yaya wasn't here, so we got worried she might be sick. We went to ask Ms. Lin from the Academic Affairs Office, who's closest to Yaya. But we never expected to hear the wonderful news that Yaya got a direct admission to the National Defense University. We're so thrilled for her. There are only 3 such spots nationwide for that top-secret research group, which previously only recruited PhDs and postdocs. Yaya is absolutely incredible. She's among the first group of high school students in the country to be specially admitted like this. Lu Qingjun felt as if a thunderclap had exploded right over his head. His mind went completely blank, leaving only a prolonged, lingering buzz echoing in his ears. Did Qin Ruyue go to the National Defense University? He hadn't heard a thing about it. Lu Qingjun's face turned deathly pale. He knew the school faculty had been pushing Qin Ruyue to accept the admission offer from the National Defense University. They'd even explicitly stated that if she turned it down, the allocated spot for First High School would be revoked, in the entire First High School. No one but Qin Ruyue deserved that spot. Lu Qingjun was quite panicked when he got the news. At that time, he was so infatuated with Qin Zi that he was dead set on following her to apply for that logistics university, terrified that if Qin Ruyue went to the National Defense University, he would never see her again. That was a top-secret base in the remote northwest. Only the highest echelons of classified units knew its exact location. Once you entered, it was nearly impossible to get out anytime soon, so Lu Qingjun tried every possible way to persuade Qin Ruyue, pressuring her to give up her guaranteed admission to the National Defense University and instead apply to the Logistics University with him. But to Lu Qingjun's surprise, Qin Ruyue still ended up accepting the guaranteed admission offer. Lu Qingjun felt dizzy and disoriented, his vision blurring with double images. He pressed a hand to his forehead in agony. Nearly toppling off his chair, Chen Mingzhu, sitting behind him, looked at Lu Qingjun in bewilderment and furrowed her brows in confusion. Qin Zi also turned her head, with a mix of pure hatred and guilt, and snapped, "What nonsense are you spouting?" Chen Mingzhu sneered at the sight. "Qin Zi, we've been classmates for 3 years and move in the same circles. Who doesn't know each other's secrets? It's true that your Qin family is on the rise, but my Qin family isn't to be trifled with either. Don't think just because you're an illegitimate daughter, even if you were the true Qin family heiress, you could do anything to me." Qin Zi opened her mouth angrily, but no words came out. Chen Mingzhu was right. The Chen family was also a well-established and prestigious name in their social circle, and they had always been on good terms with that wretched Qin Ruyue. There was really nothing Qin Zi could do to her. Qin Zi's voice dropped several notches as she defended herself. "Even if you're the Chen family's young lady, you can't just go around spreading rumors." Chen Mingzhu raised an eyebrow. "What rumors? If you want to know about Yeye getting into the National Defense University, just ask Teacher Lin one question and you'll have your answer. How could I possibly fabricate something like that?" Upon hearing this, Lu Qingjun immediately sprang up from his seat and bolted out of the classroom, charging toward the administration office and knocking over a trail of desks and chairs in his haste. The commotion startled all the students, who turned in confusion to watch Lu Qingjun's retreating figure. In the dead silence, Chen Mingzhu leaned close to Qin Zi's ear. Her breath was as sweet as orchids, her rich perfume weaving its way into Qin's senses, yet her words carried a chilling coldness that made Qin's blood run cold. "Yeye didn't take the college entrance exam this year." "Qin Zi, do you know why? I heard someone stomped on Yeye's right wrist and broke it. Even if she had taken the exam, she would have only scored abysmally low. Someone is trying to ruin Yeye. What a shame. Yeye has always been the top student in her grade, ranking in the top 3 in every citywide exam, and now, because of such a ridiculous reason, she can't take the college entrance exam or attend Tsinghua University, the school she's always dreamed of. Don't you think the person who crushed Yeye's wrist deserves to die?" Qin Zi's eyes widened, her teeth chattering. "What nonsense are you talking about? I have no idea what you're saying." "Chen Mingzhu, I suggest you watch your words." Chen Mingzhu rolled her eyes. "Heaven sees everything people do. Since it wasn't you, why are you so guilty?" With a meaningful smile directed at Qin Zi, Chen Mingzhu promptly took the girl beside her and headed to the restroom. Qin Zi curled up in her seat, feeling as if all the blood in her body had turned to ice, slowly freezing every vein and seeping out threads of coldness. "Chen Mingzhu, what did she mean by that?" How did Chen Mingzhu find out about that incident? Chen Mingzhu was washing her hands in the bathroom when she took out her phone and reopened her chat with Qin Ruyue. The girl's profile picture, once bright with a radiant smile, was now completely blacked out. Their conversation remained frozen on the morning before the Beijing college entrance exam. Mingzhu, you've got this for the Gaokao. After the Gaokao, Chen Mingzhu received a scheduled email containing a massive attachment, a video. The sender was none other than Qin Ruyue, who had gone missing and hadn't shown up for the Gaokao. Chen Mingzhu clicked to watch it. Qin Ruyue had sent her a very long, edited together video containing surveillance footage from a cold storage facility, a cemetery, and a KTV. After reading it, Chen Mingzhu remained silent for a very, very long time. She wasn't exactly Qin Ruyue's closest friend, they had been on good terms before, but later, Qin Ruyue seemed like a completely different person, spending every day chasing after Lu Qingjun. Not to mention that sly and manipulative Qin Ziyi, you could tell at a glance she was no good. With a woman like that and a fiancé like that, it's surprising that someone as proud as Qin Ruyue could even tolerate it. Frustrated by Qin Ruyue's lack of ambition, Chen Mingzhu gradually distanced herself from their close friendship, yet Qin Ruyue chose to send this very video to her. Chen Mingzhu understood exactly what Qin Ruyue meant. Qin Ruyue knew Chen Mingzhu despised illegitimate children, especially Qin Ziyi, because Chen's philandering father had fathered enough illegitimate offspring to form a small army. The scandal had turned Mrs. Chen into a near-hysterical woman, making their family the laughingstock of Beijing. Besides, Chen Mingzhu had both the power and influence to handle the troubles from both the Qin and Lu families. Chen Mingzhu let out a scornful laugh. Qin Ruyue, you've really got it all figured out, haven't you? You knew exactly how to push my buttons and use me as your pawn. Yet, the thought of Qin Ruyue finally being able to pursue the life she truly wanted made Chen Mingzhu curse under her breath even as a smile tugged irresistibly at the corners of her mouth. What Chen Mingzhu didn't know was that Qin Ruyue's reason for choosing to entrust these documents to her was actually connected to Qin Ruyue's past life. Back then, Qin Ruyue was trapped in a scandal involving school bullying that plunged her into severe depression. The intense physical symptoms left her weeping helplessly every day. Qin Ruyue had virtually cut off all contact with the outside world, and Chen Mingzhu was the only person who came to visit her. By that time, Chen Mingzhu had already defeated all the illegitimate children of the Chen family and become the formidable young CEO. She shook Qin Ruyue's shoulders desperately, scolding her as of hopeless disappointment. Chapter 10. Chen Mingzhu personally stepped forward to clarify that Qin Ruyue was an exemplary student who excelled both academically and morally, and that these accusations were completely baseless. However, the power of public opinion was too overwhelming. Not only did Chen Mingzhu fail to save Qin Ruyue, but she also dragged down the stock price of the Chen Group. As Qin Ruyue boarded the plane heading to the northwest, she silently thought to herself, "Thank you, Mingzhu." That precious shred of sincerity from her past life was enough to be etched in her memory for 2 lifetimes. Once she's built up enough power and returned to this land, what's to stop her and Chen Mingzhu from carving up the entire Qin corporation between them? Qin Ziyi never expected the online backlash to hit her so quickly, but it wasn't entirely surprising. After all, it was the massive online buzz that had rocketed her to fame in the first place. The same waters that buoy a vessel can also sink it. The controversy started when a classmate of Qin Ziyi's from Beijing No. 1 high school exposed online that her college entrance exam scores were abysmal, claiming her online persona was completely fabricated. When resourceful netizens dug up Qin Ziyi's shockingly low exam results, the entire fanbase fell silent. Many felt embarrassed for having ever supported her. Defensive fans rushed to make excuses, insisting Ziyi just had a bad test day and she's barely an adult with her whole life ahead. Stop being bitter haters who can't stand others' success. We should show Ziyi more compassion. Gigi must have underperformed in the college entrance exam, but with her family's wealth, she's bound to have a bright future ahead. We can't even confirm if this whistleblower is from First High School. How can they make baseless claims and say our Gigi isn't an outstanding student with both moral integrity and academic excellence? Is it because too many boys at school liked Gigi, and this person got jealous, leading them to smear her online? The online community split into 2 extreme factions, arguing fiercely every day. Finally, the whistleblower posted again, "Ask and you shall receive. You wanted proof. Here it is. Look closely. Your dear sister Gigi has been an academic underachiever all along. She didn't just fail the college entrance exam, she never put in the effort to study in the first place. The whistleblower shared all the class rankings from every major and minor exam since senior year, revealing that Chen Zi consistently ranked dismally low, just like her recent college entrance exam results. To protect the privacy of other students, the whistleblower blurred out almost everyone's names. Except for the top scorer on the ranking list. The student at the top of the ranking list is indeed surnamed Chen, but it's not Chen Zi, it's Chen Ruyue. Chen Ruyue, who's that? Since we're all in the know here, let me drop some tea. LOL, Chen Zi isn't actually the legitimate daughter of the Chen Corporation, she's just the chairman's illegitimate child. The real Chen family heiress is the brilliant and beautiful academic achiever, Chen Ruyue, Chen Zi's sister. She's the one with the persona you all actually adore. Mind blown. Huh, I've got plenty of data, spill the details, everything's gone. So the mistress's daughter is living the high life in her place. Where did I even end up? Real life rich family drama really is wilder than fiction. Netizens were far more intrigued by the legitimate versus illegitimate daughter feud between Chen Zi and Chen Ruyue than by their college entrance exam scores. They swarmed the industry insider who had leaked the story, begging for more details, but the informant seemed to have vanished into thin air, with no further updates emerging. Chen Zi spent days and nights scrolling through online comments, feeling a chill run through her entire body as dark shadows clouded her vision. Her voice trembled with tears. Mom, what should I do now? Hui Yanhua pondered for a moment before letting out a light chuckle. Since Chen Ruyue is no longer around, you can say whatever you want. What proof does she have? Chen Zi had a sudden moment of clarity and recorded a clarification video the very next day. My parents were each other's first love, and my birth was an unexpected consequence of circumstances left over from the past. My mother never interfered in anyone else's marriage, and she is now my father's lawful and legitimate wife. So when people call me the young lady of the Chen Corporation, I believe I can live up to that title. As for my sister, a bitter smile touched Chen Zi's lips. Her already exhausted face, worn from sleepless nights, now carried a heart-wrenching fragility that made one's heart ache to see. My sister has never liked me. She's always believed I was the one who tore her family apart. I used to be a top student, but after transferring to Beijing No. 1 high school, my sister started making things difficult for me. She wants me as far away from the Chen family as possible. Chen Zi revealed the scars on her arm to the camera. Layered and overlapping, they looked particularly horrifying. I don't think any student can study normally under the pressure of bullying. I'm sorry for letting everyone down. Tears streamed down Chen Zi's face as she hastily ended the video after speaking. As soon as this blog post was uploaded, public opinion flipped once again. Since school bullying has always been a topic of public concern, Chen Zi immediately went from being seen as a thief to a victim. Chen Zi's lost followers began to rapidly increase again. Watching the rising numbers, a slight smile curled at the corners of her lips, but just when things were looking up, that industry insider leaked another new post. This time, the leaker also uploaded a video, but it was much longer than Chen Zi's. All surveillance footage. If you use stolen things long enough, do you really start believing they're rightfully yours? Chen Zi, do you take everyone for fools? You're younger than your legitimate sister. Yet you have the nerve to claim your mother never broke up someone else's marriage. All these years, you and your mother have been kept as old Master Chen's secret mistress, living in luxury. Then when the original Mrs. Chen fell ill, you went kneeling outside Chen Corporation's headquarters to force her out, literally hounding her to her grave. After returning, you even falsely accused Chen Ruyue of bullying you at school, clung to her fiancé day and night, and scattered his mother's ashes to the wind. I've seen shameless people before, but never anyone this brazen. Chen Ruyue is the top student at Beijing No. 1 high school with the best chance of becoming the city's top scorer. She consistently ranks first in citywide exams and has never fallen below the top 3, so why didn't such an outstanding student take this year's college entrance exam? It's because you, Chen Zi, jealous of everything Chen Ruyue had, deliberately stomped on her wrist right before the exam, making it impossible for her to take the test properly. If Chen Ruyue hadn't secured that early admission spot from another school, her entire year would have been ruined. Chen Zi, how dare someone as vicious as you steal everything from Chen Ruyue and then play the innocent Chen heiress online? You're absolutely revolting. Netizens were stunned. Every single claim sounded utterly unbelievable. But after watching the surveillance footage, It became clear that every word the whistleblower said was true. For a moment, everyone fell into a stunned silence. Unsurprisingly, as soon as the surveillance video surfaced, Qin Zi instantly went from being a rising star internet celebrity to a disgraced public figure that everyone condemned. Qin Zi was too afraid to leave her home. She stayed hidden inside day after day, with the lights off and curtains drawn tight, doing nothing but weeping softly to herself. Hui Yanhua never expected things to turn out this way. Her face was etched with anxiety, and faint traces of weary wrinkles had begun to show on her meticulously maintained skin. How did those surveillance videos get leaked? Didn't you cover your tracks after what you did? Qin Zi was at a loss for words. She never imagined that every location would be under surveillance, and that someone had uncovered everything. Dealing her a devastating blow at the peak of her triumph, Qin Zi called Lu Qingjun, weeping as she asked him what she should do. Lu Qingjun remained silent for a long moment before finally speaking. Gigi, I warned you back when you first created that account, but you didn't listen to me. The Lu Corporation stocks have started dropping because I'm caught between you sisters. My father's so stressed at home every day. There's nothing I can do to help you. Qin Zi parted her lips. Qingjun, are you angry with me? Lu Qingjun let out a soft chuckle. Gigi, you knew exactly what you were doing, and you should have been prepared for the consequences. Why would I be angry with you? That was entirely your own choice. Qin Zi was about to ask Lu Qingjun if he had finished submitting his college applications, but before she could get the words out, he had already hung up. A wave of overwhelming panic surged from the depths of her heart. Qin Zi swallowed hard, feeling a chill run through her entire body. But this was far from over. Qin Zi had filmed many of her previous videos at home, and her status as an illegitimate child had already tarnished the Qin Group's reputation. Netizens who resented her flaunting of wealth began digging into the conglomerate's past. To everyone's surprise, they uncovered numerous shady dealings by the Qin Group in recent years, including tax evasion, embezzlement, bribery, and other illegal activities. The elder Mr. Qin completely changed his tune. Just days after calling Qin Zi a blessing, he now looked at her as if she were a jinx. Qin Zi, what on earth is going on? Are you trying to get us all killed? The old Mr. Qin was at his wit's end, and in a fit of helpless rage, he could only vent all his anger on Qin Zi. Qin Zi was subjected to a torrent of abuse, but she didn't dare say a single word in response. To make matters worse, some people even dug up that old Mr. Qin's early success was thanks to his first wife's family. Overnight, labels like social climber, ungrateful wretch, and backstabber were firmly pinned on old Master Qin. The Qin conglomerate began teetering on the brink of collapse, like a towering edifice about to crumble. After 2 weeks of escalating controversy, state media singled out Qin Zi for criticism, accusing her of setting a harmful example for young people and warning others not to follow in her footsteps. The color drained from Qin Zi's beautiful face. Her world had come crashing down. Her life is completely ruined. Moreover, the authorities, alarmed by the massive public outcry, set up a special investigation team that stationed itself within the Qin Group and began a thorough, one-by-one audit. How could the Qin Group possibly withstand such scrutiny? The mighty Qin Group collapsed overnight. The elder Mr. Qin was thrown in jail, while Qin Zi and Hui Yanhua went from being high society, pampered ladies to becoming the kind of commoners they once looked down upon. Everything happened so fast. In just half a month, the world had turned upside down. Qin Zi called Lu Qingjun in tears. Qingjun, you're all I have left now. Even after we get to Logistics University, we'll still be together, won't we? Lu Qingjun shook his head and let out a soft sigh. Gigi, I'm going abroad. Qin Zi felt as if struck by lightning. Brother Qingjun, you clearly promised we'd apply to the Logistics University together. You gave me your word. Lu Qingjun's tone no longer held any of the former tenderness, leaving only aloof indifference. True, but you lied to me too, didn't you? Chapter 11. Qin Ruyue has never harmed you. It was you who kept being aggressive and even drove her mother to her death. I haven't even held you accountable for all the dirt you've thrown at Ruyue, and you still expect me to go to that third-rate diploma mill with you. Qin Zi, I've said all I have to say. For the sake of our past relationship, I won't dwell too much on what happened. You'd better watch your step. I can't help you with the Qin family's affairs, and frankly, I don't want to get involved in your personal matters either. Let's leave it at that. Don't contact me again. With that, Lu Qingjun hung up and blocked Qin Zi's number, determined to never hear another word about her again. The sprawling and luxurious Qin family mansion had been seized. leaving Hui Yanhua with only a pittance of assets and a few luxury items that hadn't been confiscated. With visible resentment, Hui Yanhua moved out of the Qin family estate with Qin Ziyi, forced by circumstances. She could only afford to rent a modest two-bedroom apartment for them. Mom, Qin Ziyi stood in the living room, weeping uncontrollably. The apartment was so cramped and tiny, with terrible natural lighting and an awful neighborhood to boot. Qin Ziyi had never lived in such a wretched place her entire life, but what Qin Ziyi failed to realize was that if it weren't for Hui Yanhua being Old Master Qin's mistress, given their grandiose ambitions and mediocre skills, renting a clean two-bedroom apartment like this in the capital would have been beyond their means. They'd have been stuck in some urban village. Everything she ever had was stolen from Qin Ruyue. These days, Qin Ziyi gets pointed at and whispered about whenever she steps outside. She's even dropped out of logistics university and taken a job as a KTV receptionist. Qin Ziyi was pretty enough that the KTV was happy to hire her, even though she knew the place was shady. It was the easiest job she could find at the moment. All she had to do was flash a smile to earn some cash. There was a time when she wouldn't even bother picking up that kind of money if it fell on the ground, but now it was a welcome improvement to her life. Before the manager could even try to lure her in, Qin Ziyi had already started down a path of no return on her own. If my mother could do it, so can I. With these thoughts, Qin Ziyi's smile grew even more alluring and seductive, her slender fingers brushing away the wine stain on the man's collar. The once pure and youthful aura had completely vanished, leaving only a mind filled with weariness, numbness, and the cunning schemes eroded by a life of debauchery. Hui Yanhua watched as the money Qin Ziyi brought home kept increasing. The words to stop her daughter ultimately died in her throat, and she could only watch as her child walked down the same path she had, only more disgraceful and depraved. She even went so far as to teach Qin Ziyi some unspeakable tricks, urging her to carefully select a wealthy husband at that luxurious club to rescue them both from their miserable existence. Hui Yanhua has spent her entire life depending on others, first relying on old Mr. Qin, and now leaning on Qin Ziyi. After her late shift, Qin Ziyi saw young, pretty female students walking arm in arm, laughing and chatting as they passed by. When they spotted the club, they frowned and hurried away as if they'd seen something filthy. She suddenly felt like crying. If none of this had ever happened, she would be just like those girls, carefree and looking down on all the sordid and despicable things in this world. Qin Ziyi looked down at her red-polished fingernails, the micro-miniskirt barely covering her hips, and the black stockings already snagged with runs, finally letting her tears fall. 7 years later, Qin Ruyue had finally returned from the remote northwest. She was no longer the helpless weakling who had to live at others' mercy. Constrained by her family to the point of despair, Qin Ruyue now wore formal attire, flanked by 2 military officers in uniform who remained at her side as constant guardians. Her journey from the northwest was aimed at forging a deep collaboration with the patriotic enterprise, Qin Group. Since Chen Mingzhu took the helm, Qin Group has flourished remarkably, fostering excellent government ties and securing numerous strategic partnerships, solidifying its dominance in Beijing's business landscape. As the lead designer, Qin Ruyue unhesitatingly cast her vote for Qin Group during the bidding process, personally leading her team to Beijing to demonstrate their utmost sincerity. In the spacious reception room, Chen Mingzhu, dressed in a suit, sat opposite Qin Ruyue, whose attire was simple yet neat. Chen Mingzhu gave Qin Ruyue a critical once-over before finally letting out a laugh. Even back in school, you were the most capable one. I always knew you'd go far. Qin Ruyue smiled faintly, her expression composed yet with a subtle sharpness. Regardless, thank you. Chen Mingzhu waved a dismissive hand. It was mutually beneficial. When the Qin family fell from power, I helped the Chen family secure quite a few advantages. Without your evidence, I wouldn't have been able to leverage that situation to join the Chen family so quickly and rise to my current position of authority. The two exchanged a smile, both recalling events from 7 years ago, feeling a shared warmth spread through their chests. Tonight, the Chen Corporation is hosting a welcome reception in honor of Chief Engineer Qin's arrival. I wonder if Chief Engineer Qin might have some free time to grace us with her presence. Qin Ruyue smiled and nodded. Since you've invited me, how could I possibly refuse? The evening banquet was a gathering of distinguished guests, all eager to meet the legendary Chief Engineer Qin behind countless patents and finally see the face behind the name. But no one had expected that this Chief Engineer Qin would be a woman. And such a remarkably young and brilliant one at that. The most striking thing was that she looked exactly like Qin Ruyue, the former young lady of the Qin family. Qin Ruyue was still dressed in simple casual clothes. Having shed the complexity of her former haute couture suits and the burden of expensive jewelry, yet no one dared to underestimate her. I am Qin Ruyue. She raised her glass, smiling as she addressed the crowd, just no longer the Qin family's Qin Ruyue. Everyone began to laugh, the tense atmosphere instantly vanishing, leaving only a long stream of compliments and small talk. Ever since the Qin family latched onto that powerful connection, their rise has been meteoric. If any of them could just get in with Chief Engineer Qin and win favor from the higher-ups, wouldn't that guarantee future benefits? While Qin Ruyue mingled with the executives, a man in the corner of the venue clutched his wine glass tightly, his gaze fixed intently on her. Despite his carefully groomed appearance, the man couldn't conceal the weariness and hardship etched on his face. It was none other than Lu Qingjun. The man recently cornered by the Qin group and left scrambling for a way out. After studying abroad for several years, Lu Qingjun returned to China to take over the family business at Lu Corporation, but unexpectedly, Qin Corporation gained high-level connections and suddenly emerged as a rising force, snatching away much of Lu Corporation's business. The senior Mr. Lu repeatedly tried to visit Qin Corporation to seek reconciliation, but each time Qin Mingzhu unhesitatingly turned him away. If you can be the winner who takes it all, why share the cake that's almost in your hands? Qin Mingzhu spoke with unwavering conviction, refusing to even glance at Lu Qingjuan's face. Only then did old Mr. Lu belatedly realize, recalling the incident during Lu Qingjuan's college entrance exam year, that it was all Qin Mingzhu's doing. There was no doubt that the person behind Qin Mingzhu was Qin Ruyue. Old Mr. Lu went home and subjected Lu Qingjun to a severe family punishment, beating him half to death. You've mistaken a fisheye for a pearl. Old Mr. Lu was panting heavily, absolutely furious. Ruyue is such a wonderful girl, and you've been sneaking around with that illegitimate half-sister of hers behind our backs. The year of the college entrance exams, Qin Ziyi nearly ruined our family. We almost never recovered from the damage. Now you've gone and provoked Qin Mingzhu. That woman is not to be trifled with. At this rate, you'll drag the entire Lu family down with you. Old Mr. Lu was so overwhelmed with fury that he fell gravely ill, transforming from the formidable patriarch he once was into a frail, bedridden old man. After taking over the Lu Corporation, Lu Qingjun found himself powerless to reverse its decline. Now, he's barely keeping it afloat by relying on the company's past foundations. When Lu Qingjun learned that Qin Mingzhu had, for the first time ever, sent him an invitation to the Qin Group's party tonight, he immediately dressed in his finest and made sure to attend. This was a golden opportunity to mend relations with the Qin Group, no matter what. But Lu Qingjun never expected to run into Qin Ruyue at the victory banquet. It was Qin Ruyue, his Ruyue, whom he hadn't seen in 7 years. Lu Qingjun felt tears welling up in his eyes. He wanted to ask Qin Ruyue if she knew how much he had missed her all these years, and if she realized how difficult his life had been without her. Lu Qingjun immediately strode over with long steps, holding a wine glass as he hurried toward her. Ruyue, Mom. Before he could finish speaking, Lu Qingjun was stopped by 2 heavily armed soldiers, who prevented him from getting any closer to Qin Ruyue. I'm sorry, sir, but you can't just approach Chief Engineer Qin like that. Lu Qingjuan's face darkened. What do you mean, I can't approach Chief Engineer Qin? This is outrageous. Do you have any idea who I am? I'm Lu Qingjun, Qin Ruyue's fiancé. Just let me speak to Qin Ruyue. She knows me. I'm sure she'll let me through. 2 stone-faced soldiers stood like iron towers, blocking every possible path and line of sight for Lu Qingjun. Sorry, sir, I said you can't go through, and that's final. Qin Ruyue, Qin Ruyue. Lu Qingjun shouted Qin Yu's name at the top of his lungs, desperately trying to make her turn and look at him. If only he could mend things with Qin Yu and start over. A sharp, brilliant light flashed in Lu Qingjuan's eyes, brimming with exhilaration and joy. Isn't the Qin Group's current prominence all thanks to riding on Qin Yu's coattails? Qin Ruyue has adored me since we were children. Now that I've turned over a new leaf, if I can just win her back with some sincere effort, the struggling Lu Corporation could instantly recover and never have to depend on others again. Ruyue, I was wrong about everything in the past. I know I made mistakes. I was deceived by Qin Ziyi. It was her sweet talk and lies that led me astray and caused me to make such grave errors. After all these years, we grew up together and were even engaged once. Ruyue, I'm begging you, for the sake of our past bond, won't you come back to me? Let's start over. I promise to treat you right and make you the happiest woman in the world. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you." Everyone stared at the Liu family's eldest son as if he were a madman. This man who once carried himself with the aloof elegance of an exiled celestial being, now reduced to a raving lunatic. The two soldiers glanced back at Qin Ruyue. Under Lu Qingjuan's hopeful gaze, Qin Ruyue merely shook her head with icy indifference. "I don't know him." That settled it. The two soldiers didn't hesitate any longer. One immediately broke off to grab Lu Qingjun and toss him out like a chick, while the other remained firmly by Qin Ruyue's side, and in a place unseen by Qin Ruyue, a pair of sinister eyes were fixed intently on her. Qin Ruyue is actually back, dressed in a waitress uniform." Qin Ziyi glared bitterly in Qin Ruyue's direction. All these years, Qin Ziyi had been stuck at the club, desperately trying to latch onto someone influential. Dreaming of soaring high, a sparrow transforming into a phoenix on a lofty branch, and reclaiming her former life of luxury and comfort. But the club was filled with men who were only there for fleeting pleasures. Who among them would ever truly fall for her? Qin Ziyi faced repeated failures but never gave up, and after countless attempts, she finally caught the eye of a CEO in his 40s who wanted to set her up as his mistress. Qin Ziyi and Hui Yanhua were overjoyed. Hui Yanhua was a hedonistic Mrs. Fu who insisted on living a life of luxury even when she had no money. Over the years, despite having taken some money when they left the Qin family, their expenses always exceeded their income, and now the mother and daughter could barely afford to pay the rent. But their good fortune didn't last long. They had barely settled into the property the bald CEO had arranged for them and enjoyed a few comfortable days when his legal wife stormed in, scratching Qin Ziyi's face. "Ugh, a little slut and an old hag. Get the hell out of here, both of you." Qin Ziyi and Hui Yanhua were thrown out on the streets once again. This time, Qin Ziyi even lost her job at the club and had to resort to odd jobs. After much struggle, Qin Ziyi finally managed to find work as a hotel waitress. Every day, she had to force a smile for people who weren't even worthy of shining her shoes in the past, standing in high heels until her back ached and legs were sore, enduring immense hardship. But this was the most respectable job Qin Ziyi could land. In a couple of years, when her youthful looks faded, she wouldn't even qualify for a waitressing position. It was her third month working as a temp at this 7-star hotel when she ran into Qin Ruyue, who had returned home in glory. Qin Ruyue was as stunning as ever. 7 years had not diminished her elegance in the slightest. Instead, she now carried the dignified authority of someone in power and the refined, scholarly air of someone long immersed in laboratory work. Qin Ziyi was so filled with resentment that tears nearly welled up in her eyes. How could this be? All these years she's suffered in misery, while Qin Ruyue lives in splendor, yet Qin Ziyi didn't even have the chance to get close to Qin Ruyue. Qin Ziyi saw clearly what those two soldiers guarding Qin Ruyue around the clock had holstered at their waists. 7 years. Not too long, not too short, yet it felt like a lifetime had passed. These two sisters, bound by the same blood, have taken completely opposite paths in life. Qin Ruyue remains as ethereal as the moon in the sky, a flower reflected in a mirror, but Qin Ziyi has become a withered flower, barely recognizable from what she once was. Qin Ziyi couldn't accept it. She simply couldn't resign herself to this fate. When Qin Ziyi saw Lu Qingjun again and heard the words he spoke, her hatred burned so fiercely it made her heart tremble. Lu Qingjun, how dare he? If it hadn't been for Lu Qingjun confessing his feelings for her back then, she would never have developed those wild fantasies about him, going to any lengths to win him over. Lu Qingjun had clearly promised her he would attend the same university, he would marry her someday. It was never Qin Ruyue he loved, but her, Qin Ziyi. But Lu Qingjun had betrayed her. He left the country without a word, abandoning her to struggle and scrape by on her own. Now, seeing Qin Ruyue looking glamorous and powerful, he swarming around her like a bee and shifting all the blame onto her. Qin Ziyi's gaze fell on the chef's long knife used for slicing Iberian ham on the food cart. Seizing the moment when no one was looking, she quietly took it, hid it behind her back, and slipped out of the venue. Qin Ziyi was heading in the exact direction where Lu Qingjun had just been thrown out by Qin Ruyue's bodyguards. Chen Mingzhu, with her sharp awareness, took in every movement and whispered into Qin Ruyue's ear, "Did you see that? Let the scumbag and the tramp tear each other apart." saves you from getting your hands dirty. Qin Ruyue chuckled softly, much obliged. Chen Mingzhu beamed even brighter. No need for thanks, you've made me a fortune. This is just a small token of my appreciation. Chapter 12, they shared a knowing smile, clinking their glasses gently as unspoken understanding passed between them. The next morning, a passerby discovered a brutally stabbed male corpse with disfigured features in an alley and reported it to the police in terror. The victim's identity was quickly confirmed. It was Lu Qingjun, the eldest son of the Lu family. The person who killed Lu Qingjun turned out to be Qin Ziyi. After Qin Ziyi was thrown behind bars, Hui Yanhua fell into utter despair. With no one to care for her, she ended up starving herself to death at home. It wasn't until neighbors noticed the foul odor and alerted the police that her decomposing body was discovered. When Qin Ruyue learned of this, she merely responded with a faint, indifferent smile. Qin Ruyue gazed at the crystal-clear azure sky, as vast and serene as the skies she'd seen in the northwest, mirroring the tranquility in her heart. The past was but a handful of dust. She had already cast it to the wind, scattered it, and forgotten it forever. Those people, those events, could no longer touch her in any way. From now on, the past fades into obscurity, while the path ahead shines bright and clear.